Boom, we should be live. But as always, we require human beings to acknowledge our existence. Acknowledge us. I was told there would be telescopes. Is the stream working? I don't see anything. All right, so come on, somebody has to tell us that they see us. And then I know that we can begin.
Let's go. There we go.
I should be streaming though. Hope I'm streaming to the right location.
There we are. I see the telescope. I see stellarium.
Okay, yeah. Yep. So you see the setup that I put. So awesome. All right, there you go. Robinson Milani has informed us that we exist. So that's all the confirmation.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah, that's all the confirmation that I require. Hey everyone, how's it going? So if you don't know who I am, I'm Fraser Cain. I am publisher of Universe Today. I am the host of this channel, and we are in the process of trying a new experiment. And that is, we are going to do some live telescope streaming. And just to do that, I brought a special guest, Trevor Jones from AstroBackyard. Trevor, how's it going?
Very happy to be here. Happy Friday, everybody. It's there's a bit of a time shift between us here. It's 8 o'clock in Vancouver, but it's 11 o'clock here in St. Catharines, Ontario.
Yeah, but you're an astronomer, so you must be used to staying up late at night.
Oh, it's a clear Friday night. I'm used to staying up all night. So
yeah, not me. I am such a lightweight. I try not to observe like 2 nights in a row, 3 nights in a row, because I just get ruined. I'm such a morning person, totally not a night person. So
it catches up with you, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've got to figure out how to like make the computer run completely automatic all night long, you know. So just to sort of let people know what's going on here. So this is going to be live. The telescope that's above me is the telescope that's been provided generously by our good friends at Oceanside Photo and Telescope. And Trevor, ready to hear what this is? It's a Paramount ME is the mount with a TeleVue 127 APO refractor with a QSI color camera. So
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful machine, and it's operated completely remotely out of Landers, California. And so what I wanted to do was we're just going to run through a bunch of objects that are up in the night sky. And so for people who maybe aren't familiar with what they should be able to see in the summertime, in the end of summer, what are your favorite constellations that are up right now?
Cygnus is a favorite of mine right now. And it's as nice as like Sagittarius is and stuff kind of in the Milky Way there. Cygnus rises nice and high in the sky. So in terms of astrophotography, you can get some much clearer images because you don't have to shoot through the city glow and the turbulence in the air. So Cygnus is a favorite for sure.
Yeah. So the picture that I've got up right now is actually the North American Nebula, and this isn't tonight. This is a picture I took 2 nights ago, but just an example of what this can do. And here's the crazy part, right? This is a 5-minute exposure. So took a 5-minute picture in color, and that's it. So hopefully we're going to be able to do a lot of stuff really quickly. So I'll show the one image that I did take tonight, and then I'm just going to let you tell me where you want to go. What do you want to look at?
That sounds like a plan.
So I just put up Albireo, which is sort of one of my favorite double star objects. It's a visual binary to look at. It's great, like there's a blue star and there's a yellow star or orange star. And the cool thing about this is how actually apparently we used to think that they were a binary star, but they're actually not now. Turns out they're completely separate.
Right. It's as far as double stars go, it's got to be one of the most famous, if not the most famous. I remember checking it out with my first little Dobsonian telescope many years ago.
Same.
Yeah.
So pick a target. What do you want to go for?
Oh, very cool. So that's live through our scope in California right now.
Yeah.
Then.
It's an image I took about 30 seconds ago, but
live enough. Yeah.
Live enough. Yeah. But
Awesome.
but let's pick a target and then let's talk about some stuff. And if you don't, then I'll force one on you, which is we could definitely go to look at M13 if you wanted.
Okay, well, you know what? Because of the timing that we have a kind of a shorter window on some of the really cool nebulae in Sagittarius. Why don't we just go straight to the Lagoon Nebula while
Sure,
we can?
sure. So the trick with this is that different objects require a different exposure time. So this image of Albireo, I just did a 5-minute exposure with. With the Lagoon Nebula, I want to do something a little longer, probably a 2-minute exposure. So I just
Sure.
punched that number in. I'm going to be moving the telescope, and you should see the telescope now moving to go after Sagittarius. Now, the only problem with this is, and I've learned from experience, Sagittarius is so low for this telescope that the light from the Nest camera shines right down the barrel. So if we're gonna look around at stuff in Sagittarius for a little bit, I gotta turn the light off, so we won't be
Oh
able
boy,
to see the camera. See how it's like looking right at us? So
I do.
yeah, so the telescope is just like a tiny little bit above. So I gotta turn off the camera if you want to hang out in Sagittarius until we're done with Sagittarius, and then we can take some pictures. So
Okay.
yeah,
I'm creating challenges for you already, Fraser, but
that's fine.
I
Again, this is
couldn't resist.
why I have already sort of been through this a little bit.
I was gonna, yeah, you know the ropes here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. So I've started a 1/22nd exposure on the Lagoon Nebula. So let's get
Beautiful.
some. And if anyone has any questions, I mean, part of the fun about having Trevor here is to get him to answer a bunch of people's questions about telescope gear, because you actually know way more about telescope gear than I do. I'm completely ruined now as I sit inside and I control this telescope from afar.
And you know way more about astronomy and science than I do. So we'll call it Ethan.
Yeah. All right. So Jeff Abestown is asking, why are there different colors? Are you using filters, or is that what it really looks like? So, do you want to explain sort of the filters and colors and things like that?
Okay. Well, first of all, what filter have we got in front of this QSI camera right
There's
now?
no filter, so it is a
Oh,
color.
okay.
It's a color sensor.
Right. Okay. So yeah, these are the actual colors then. If you're seeing any, if there's a certain hue to it, that could be because of light pollution. In the case of my backyard, everything has kind of a red hue to it, kind of orangey brown. But without a filter, you're seeing actual natural colors. And the way camera sensors work, they can pull in a lot more light over a long period of time than our eyes could ever see. So the cameras can actually pull in the actual color that you could never see visually just through the eyepiece.
Yeah. One of the sort of, so in this case, as you said, it's just a visual. It's essentially what your eyes would see if your eyes could collect photons for about 3 minutes.
That's right.
but but the other kind, they do have filters for different kinds of light pollution. So you can get one that just looks at hydrogen alpha, one that just looks at sulfur, one that just looks at oxygen, and that gives you a much different. A lot of those really beautiful nebulae that you see, those are done with those separate filters.
That's right. Yeah, they're constructed. When you isolate a certain wavelength of light, a really narrow band, they're called narrow band filters. You just pick up the light associated with the particular gas in an object and cuts out everything else. So the street lights and light pollution, you're just focusing on that wavelength that particular gas has, and then you have to construct the image of collecting all the different layers of gas in that. And you can end up with a color image, but you have to put it together. And that's how the Hubble Space Telescope uh, makes pictures.
Yeah, it's actually got like 60 different filters on it. It's got
I,
these separate wheels, and astronomers can go and pick whichever one they want.
I
Uh,
just heard that 60 filters. I had
yeah,
no idea.
yeah, it's got like a whole bunch of these little wheels, and they just spin around and do that. Uh-oh,
Very
I
cool.
just lost. All right, let me see if I can get the telescope back. And question here, Shant G is asking, telescope gear recommendation for beginner with a $1,000 budget.
Telescope gear or astrophotography gear. If it's telescope gear, you can get a great telescope for $1,000. I would recommend for a beginner to get a Dobsonian telescope. That's a Newtonian reflector, and it's
Yep.
got a portable kind of not a go-to mount, a manual mount, so you can kind of learn the sky and move it around.
Yep.
But the best part is you get a big aperture for the price because there's a big mirror at the bottom. You can soak in a lot of light and get some amazing views of planets and star clusters, and they're affordable.
Pick another target. The lagoon is here. I'm going to show it in a second, but while it's let's move to
Okay.
another object. Do you want to do the Trifid since it's pretty close?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I disagree with your telescope recommendation. I mean, I totally like the idea of a big light bucket, and if you are willing to deal with the complete and total pain of moving the telescope, and you're like, oh, okay, I've got Saturn in the eyepiece. Here, come check it out. And then a person kind of looks through the eyepiece, and they're like, I don't see it. And you're like, okay, hold on a second. And then you move the telescope over a little bit, and then down a little bit, and then over a little bit, and then down a little bit.
Like,
And
oh, well, you nudged it. Of course you lost it. You
yeah,
nudged it.
exactly. That just gets super frustrating. And I really like a mount that can have an equatorial mount on it. So you can get smaller telescopes that will do even just like a hand mount on it. And
Okay.
I like that. Like the
Oh,
Celestron has
okay.
like a one, like their little, oh man, I forget the name of it, but it has a fairly cool little, like once you line it up and it's sort of tilted to the earth, and you can kind of turn one knob and it will work.
Right. Okay. I know there's those Celestron Nexstar scopes.
Yeah.
They're computerized
Well, not
and they're
even computerized, like just hand controlled.
right. So you can slowly turn the dial and just keep up with the object
Yeah.
as opposed to, having to move it.
Yeah. So I
You know,
made a horrible mistake in recommending the Trifid Nebula because it actually required a meridian flip.
oh,
So even though they're right beside each other, I had to flip it. So I'm going to bring up your Lagoon Nebula.
well, we can get out of Sagittarius.
Sure. Go anywhere that is visible in the night sky right now. But it's just, I wonder, like they're right beside each other, and yet it had to flip the meridian, but people couldn't see it because I had to turn off the camera. So,
You know what? I should have known that. That's something. If I'm imaging in the backyard right now, and I know it's just at that spot where it's just passed over the like in the south where you have to flip over.
yep, there's your
So I
lagoon.
should have I should have spotted that.
Nice choice. Let me know when you can see that.
Yeah, see stars. I don't see anything. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, you're see.
We were zoomed in.
Yeah, so what you're gonna see in the live stream is gonna be delayed by a couple of minutes or seconds. So, um, but
Look
I
at
mean,
that.
yeah, isn't that amazing?
That's a 2 minute
That's a
exposure.
2 minute exposure. Yeah,
Do you know what the focal ratio is of this
it's an
telescope? It's got to be quite
f2.
fast. F2, that'll do it.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Holy smoke. So
yeah.
yeah, 2 minutes is plenty of time. We've actually blown out the core as they
Well,
call it.
I'm yeah. We blew up the core, and I'm sort of tweaking it a little bit to try and make it a little. I can sort of I can stretch various parts, various colors.
Yeah.
So,
The funny thing about that, and now is a good as time as any to bring it up. In the astrophotography world, when it comes to processing a deep sky object, everybody seems to want to tame down the brightest areas of a deep sky object.
yeah,
And I understand that you don't want to blow it out, but when you pull it back in too much, it gives the image a plastic flat look.
yeah,
And I don't, it's just too unnatural for my liking. So I tend to leave the bright areas bright
yeah,
as opposed to just bringing everything in and flattening it out.
yeah,
You see a lot of Orion Nebula images where they just pull the core in so much
yeah.
when really you should see the glow from the trapezium in the middle of an object like that.
A bunch of people are asking me about the camera. It's a ZWI was it I forget the name of the camera. But it's a color camera. It's essentially the same sensor that's on a Sony camera.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
the Sony A7 III. So it's about 5,000 pixels by about 3,500 pixels.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
and
lot of these color CMOS cameras have Sony sensors in them.
yeah. All right, so I'm going to take the telescope's finished taking the picture of the Trifid, and it's fantastic. And I'm going to
Huh.
move the telescope, up to M13 just to show people a completely different kind of object, um, and then I know there's some stuff in Cygnus that you wanted to see, but like, and we'll
Mhm.
definitely get a chance to check out Andromeda at some point. So yeah,
Yeah, globular star clusters are unbelievable targets, and
yeah.
there's no better than M13.
The problem is there's like they all kind of look the same. Like, M13 is the best one, and then all the others are like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so people are asking me like, what are they seeing here? So these are mostly stars, right? So you're looking right into pretty much the core of the Milky Way, and so you're seeing all of these stars, and this is a star forming nebula that's in this region, and that's why there's just so many stars in this shot. And you can actually see
Yeah,
the darker regions are actually dark nebulae, places where there's dust and gas that's obscuring the view behind it.
yeah, that's right. It's not that there are less stars in those areas; they're just being covered up by dust in front of them.
Yeah. All right. So I can turn the camera back on for the telescope now that we're not staring down the barrel of it. Um, and the Trifid Nebula. Oh, let me take my next picture. And so for this guy, I only need to do a 30-second picture. Come on, little buddy. All right.
Yeah, in terms of astrophotography as a beginner, star clusters are a great target because you can do those shorter exposures, 30, even 15, 20, 30-second exposures, and you
Yeah.
don't see a lot of that tracking error that you get with the longer stuff. So you
Yeah.
can actually create a beautiful image with short exposures.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it
Oh,
is
I see.
the
Yeah.
ASI 94 MC Pro.
Okay.
That's probably the one. I forget
That's
exactly which one it is. It's the one with the Sony camera sensor. It's full color. Um,
the ASI with the Sony camera sensor.
yeah,
Okay. There's
yeah.
so many of those, and actually that one they mentioned there is one that I just recently reviewed and is running in my backyard right now. So it would be really cool if it
So
was that.
the field of view on this is so big. Uh-oh, I got a cloud going over my. I think I got a cloud. Oh no.
No.
Yeah. So check this out. Can you see? I don't know if you can see it on the screen there, but we've actually got the lagoon over on the left-hand side of the image here. So actually, you can't see it. Uh, yeah, you're not gonna be able to see it unless I move this over here. So I'm just gonna move that so you can actually see where the lagoon is. And we got a
Wow,
satellite going through.
that Trifid turned out amazing.
I haven't even tweaked it yet, so give me a second and I will. But I just wanted to show you the lagoon over on the side. That just shows you how wide this field of view is.
Sure.
Um,
And there's a star cluster in there too. I can't remember which one that is. It's
yeah,
M57 or
yeah.
no, it's not 57.
Let's see. We'll go this way. So again, that's a 2-minute
Oh, there it
exposure.
is.
Yeah. And looks like there's another one there too. Yeah. So we've got a problem then. Oh no, we're gonna be dodging clouds. All right, I'll go back um, to that nebula in a second.
Nobody told me they get clouds in California.
I know. I looked and it was perfectly clear. But it looks like there is a little cloud here. So let's see. Um, no, that's not the picture. Okay, never mind. I'm not pointing at it. So I didn't move the telescope. Someone should have told me the telescope wasn't moving. So yeah. So question. So is it really blue? This is really blue. So remember, this is a color camera. So this is showing the colors that the human eye would see if they could collect photons for 2 minutes, which they can't. So
That's right.
Dumbbell, yeah, no problem. We'll totally get the dumbbell.
Good choice.
Yeah, dumbbell looks great. The Ring Nebula looks great. I found a bunch of new ones that I'd never heard of before the other night. Um, the Fetus Nebula. I don't know if you've ever found
I
that.
have never heard
Yeah,
that.
it's in Cygnus. I just went through every single object in Cygnus. I was like, oh, this is a star cluster. Boring. Another little star cluster. Boring. Oh, Crescent Nebula. That's nice. I like that. So for people, I keep forgetting to do this. The Trifid. So for people who don't know kind of where we are, where we were, so this is the constellation of Sagittarius here, and you can always recognize it with the teapot and the actual cluster or the nebula that we were looking at is this guy here. So that's the simulation of it. Yeah. But yeah, so this image isn't photoshopped in any way. I'm just oh, there we go. All right. Now I can take my 30-second picture. Yeah, so it's not photoshopped in any way. It's just I'm stretching, so I'm like brightening various parts of the image. So I'm leaving the dark parts dark and trying to make the lighter parts a little lighter. The Orion Nebula isn't up right now, so we can't take a picture of that.
No, that's a winter object.
Yeah, and this is a 2-minute exposure. The one of M13 is a 30-second exposure. You'll see that in a second.
Yeah,
What do
that
you want
was
next?
something I heard.
After what will you want? We always got to remember to stay ahead, so the telescope is doing work while we're talking.
That's right. Okay, so
dumbbell.
the dumbbell is coming, right?
All right. Yeah. Well, let me move to the dumbbell.
And then I've got just a killer target to go to after that.
All right. Let me move to the dumbbell.
The dumbbell is a rather bright object. That's one of the ones, even here in the city, I can see visually through my telescope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a gray smudge, but you can actually start to see some of the shape of it.
Yeah, totally. Just waiting for the image of M13 to show up. So my plan with this setup is I want to do a Messier marathon in March. Just
Very
virtual
cool.
Messier marathon. We'll just sit here, we'll just hang out, have a cup of coffee, see all of Messier's objects in the same night.
So is that possible? And forgive me, is it actually possible to see them all in one night?
Yeah. So in March, you can
eh?
see all of the Messier
that's the
objects in a
month.
single night. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So, let me take my. Oh, we're still slewing.
And M13 is pending, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
We got questions here. Anyway.
That is just sick.
It's not fair that you get to see it a little bit before we all do.
I know. And I've really got to resist the temptation to do this. Because you're talking to me in real time, but you're not actually.
I know.
You're not actually seeing the pictures in real time.
There she is.
Yeah.
So, Fraser, I know you know much more about astronomy than I do. So, can you explain what's happening in a globular cluster? Because
Sure.
other than the fact that all the stars are in one spot like that, what's
Yeah.
actually happening in creating that?
Yeah, so these are blobs of stars that can have hundreds of thousands and even millions of stars, and they're all collected together into this tiny cluster where on average the stars are about 1 light year apart, while across the rest of the Milky Way stars are on average a dozen light years apart. So they're incredibly close together, and they are ancient. They are relics of the Milky Way. They're formed just shortly after the Big Bang. 30 seconds. Let's go longer on the dumbbell. Hold on. And so one of the great things about globular clusters is that astronomers use them as a way to tell the age of things, because these stars all formed at the same time, and then a bunch of them have detonated as supernova a long time ago, and essentially, the oldest star that you see in the cluster is
Hmm.
the age of, is how long the whole thing's been around for. So it's an
Okay.
amazing, and they're just beautiful. I mean, they just, and you can see, like, I've got a pair of binoculars. I can absolutely see these in the night sky. With the small telescope, they look just fantastic. And it's just
Yeah.
it's a great night. I mean, this is with this 30-second shot of this, this is the best picture that I've taken of this, because we don't have a moon tonight, which is yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that
Yeah,
is
absolutely. It's almost like the perfect telescope test too, right? Because the bigger scopes, you'll see more individual stars, in the center of it, and you'll
yeah,
be able to pick them out.
yeah. Hit me with your next target, and then I'll take a picture of it while we show people the Dumbbell Nebula.
Okay, I want to see the Eastern Veil Nebula.
Sure.
So that's
Do you know the NGC number?
6992. I sure
Okay.
do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna go a little longer on that one. I'm gonna do a 3-minute exposure because it's a
Perfect.
little fainter, but it is phenomenal. So
Now, for those that know the Veil Nebula, it's a complex,
okay.
the Cygnus loop. There's multiple portions of it, and this is the eastern portion. My favorite. It's not the witch's broom. I don't think this one actually has a common name other than the Eastern Veil.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna bring up that Dumbbell Nebula that we just took.
The dumbbells. The most interesting thing about this one is the color. It's you don't often see this teal green in a lot of deep sky objects.
Yep. And again,
It's
because we're doing this in color. So this is a great example. Just show people before I actually do this. This is sort of what the raw picture looks like, and so you can just see the faint color of it here. So, and this is how I stretch it. So I can pull out the. Oh, and this is the bad one. Okay, hold on a second. I took a better one. Never mind this one. That's the 30-second one. Let me do the 1-minute one, which is better. All right. M31 is coming up, and we can definitely look at it. And there's also actually a comet that's really close to M31. I got that the other night, so we should try
oh,
and go
very
after
cool.
it. Yeah. All right, so let's do a better job of this. So there's the Dumbbell Nebula.
As I like to call it, the apple core nebula. It just totally looks like an apple core.
Yeah. So let me know when you can see it.
I It was there. It looks like you're just doing some quick adjustments.
Yeah.
And that's right. M31 is currently getting higher and higher into
Yep.
the sky. Oh, there it is. So it's a rather small object too, the dumbbell,
Yeah.
and it's a planetary nebula. Is
Yep.
that correct?
Yeah. So this is an example of what what our sun might look like down the road a few billion years from now. Oh, great. Ron Paulblo is telling us that he can see the Omega Centauri with the naked eyes there, that's so mean because we can't see
That's
it. I can't even see it with this telescope. So, but I did get a chance to see it when I was down in Australia. It's amazing.
I'm yet to see the southern hemisphere sky, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, and all of that stuff that we looked at is directly overhead, right? So you're just looking straight up and seeing
I
the core of
know.
the Milky Way.
That's right.
Ingmar Bowman is asking what software I'm using. So I'm using Nebulosity, which is a piece of software that a lot of astrophotographers use uh, to to process their images. And I know Dustin, the guy who runs OPT, the guy who provided the telescope, he is just a huge fan of Nebulosity. Does all his work in Nebulosity.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the some of the more old school astrophotographers I run into at the star parties, they're all running Nebulosity. I think it's been around
Yeah.
for quite a while.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm using it here because it's quick and dirty. I mean, a lot of people who they're trying to do like a better uh, image, they will use Photoshop, right? And I know that's what you do, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's the process. I do it through Deep Sky Stacker, but that's kind of like leave it on running in the background and go make a coffee kind of thing, which is it's not great for situations like this. You need it kind of bang it out.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just showing people a simulation of the Dumbbell Nebula. So it's in the constellation Vulpecula, in between and
Vulpecula.
Sagitta. The wild duck cluster looks good in this. Let's see. How long did it take me to... So, Shant G is asking how long it took for this guys to be this good at astrophotography. How long have you been doing astrophotography for?
About 7 years
Yeah.
is when I started, taking it serious, and one step at a time. It is kind of an expensive hobby, hard to justify, breaking the bank on it, but one step at a time.
Yeah.
Better and better.
Yeah, but you can... I mean, you don't have to have that fancy of gear to start taking some really nice pictures of space. If you've already got a DSLR camera, then a relatively small telescope that can track will do a great job. And I know what a lot of people do is, instead of trying to take big long exposures, just take shorter exposures, and then you can stack them up. You're talking about deep sky stackers. So
That's exactly right. Yeah, DSLR cameras can take amazing astrophotography images, and a lot of people have them as their daytime camera now, and they just work excellent for a telescope.
Next request.
Okay, so we got the Eastern Veil Nebula is coming, right?
Yep.
Okay. If we're gonna stick around there, why don't we go up back into Cygnus and do the Crescent Nebula?
Sure. And have you seen the Tulip Nebula?
I have seen images, but
it's in the same area
too.
While. Yeah,
that would be a nice one to go to next.
And the Cocoon as well is there.
The Cocoon is very cool.
Yeah. All right.
That's a challenging target for astrophotography.
All right. I'll slew the telescope to the Crescent Nebula, and the second that that your last request, the Eastern Veil, shows up, I will put it up on the screen.
Excellent.
I hope I haven't messed this up. Okay. So we're tracking. I'm going to take another 3-minute exposure.
Zap Chan Bam, we can definitely shout you out. There you go.
You just got shouted out. It happened.
And Cosmic Lettuce.
Hey, Cosmic
Very much
Lettuce.
Enjoy your YouTube channel, Trevor. Thanks for everything you do. I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know. And Diego, you want to talk about amazing astrophotographers? Diego Colinello.
Oh, awesome. He's in Diego.
In the Southern Hemisphere, in Australia, just some of the best amateur astrophotographers.
Lording over his beautiful view of the... So we probably wanted to go a little longer. I kind of have to mess it up. I apologize. I had to sort of sully this
Can you see it slightly, though?
Oh, yes. Yes.
But you want to do it justice.
Yeah, well, okay. I have gotten so spoiled. Yeah. But you'll see. I did the best I could. Yes, this is really live streaming black music. We are actually showing you images of the night sky taken with the telescope that's right above my head. And we're now halfway into the image of the Crescent Nebula. And then we should go for the Cocoon one. So after that, it's a nice one. So do you know what the Eastern Veil Nebula is?
It is a supernova remnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole complex of the Veil Nebula is, and it's very, in a wide field shot, you see it's very wispy in the filaments, and just beautiful. And it's mostly hydrogen and oxygen, actually, sulfur as well, but a lot of hydrogen in there.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't really get that so much in this telescope, but because it's all, again, just visible light. So, but you can really see the sort of the blue colors and the red colors, and this is just this expanding remnant of this supernova that exploded thousands of years ago, and it's just, we're seeing the final death of it. It's amazing.
Yeah, you can almost see the explosion that created the blast, the shock wave.
Yeah, some of the other parts, like this is just one chunk. I'll sort of try and show people in Stellarium here.
It's really huge, actually, the whole thing.
Yeah, so I think people can see in Stellarium here sort of the whole complex, and we're just looking down at this part down here. Yeah. No, not all nebula from supernova. So we've gone through a bunch of nebula already tonight. Just to sort of bring people back up to speed here, the first thing that we looked at was Albireo, the double star, just 2 stars. And then we looked at the Lagoon Nebula, and this is actually a star-forming nebula, not a supernova remnant. And then we looked at the Trifid Nebula, which is another star-forming region. There's actually the 2 different colors. So the reds are essentially the gas has been heated up so much that it's glowing bright in red, while the blue is actually the reflection. So it hasn't been heated up enough to the point that that it's glowing red, and instead it's reflecting this blue light. It's kind of like smoke, the way, you can see the sky is blue. You're getting that same process here. I'm done with that. So it's downloading right now. Did you have a preference? I said the Cocoon. Do you want to try that?
Yep, Cocoon, and then the Ring Nebula.
Okay.
Unless you think it's too small for this scope.
Oh,
it
no,
will be
it's
small.
perfect.
I find it very interesting.
Yep. No, it's great. We were able to get the Blue Snowball Nebula, so I don't know if you've tried that one. So I'll go to the Cocoon, and then we'll go to the Ring Nebula. All right. So you wanted this? You asked for the... Yeah, you don't even remember anymore.
What, the Ring? Yeah.
No, you wanted the Crescent, right?
Oh, the Crescent, yes. Yeah. They're piling up now.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So this is a tough one. It's a lot fainter, so just the default image is hard to see, but I'm going to stretch it out a bit. I wanted I wanted to be a longer exposure, so mental note, 3 minutes is not long enough for this. I'll try 5 minutes next time.
We haven't done any galaxies yet either.
No, so let's do M51. M51 is a crowd pleaser, so we're going to do the Ring Nebula. Oh, I'm not doing... You know what? I'm going to go straight to the Ring Nebula. I'm not going to do the Cocoon because it's going to be kind of like this. And then we'll do some galaxies.
I see the Crescent.
Yeah.
Very cool. And yeah, that's one of those objects that once you do shoot it in narrowband and capture some of those specific wavelengths of gas, you see the full shape, and it actually looks more like a brain than a crescent at that point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So this is where this telescope doesn't really perform that well on these kinds of objects. So it's sort of without the right filters, it doesn't do that well. All right, so I've got the Ring Nebula. I'm going to slew the telescope to it. And we'll do that. And then we'll do M57, which will be great. And then we'll do Andromeda. Yeah.
Patrick said M57 is the best.
Yeah, M57 is an amazing galaxy. The M80, we'll do M81, M82 as well. Well, it's pretty low, though, right now is the problem. So
it is.
Yeah, for this telescope.
So it looks like a roll-off roof of observatory, like a shed style.
It's a garden shed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm tracking on the Ring Nebula. I'll take a quick picture. Gosh, I don't even need I'll do a 60-second exposure. That's plenty.
Is the Pinwheel available in our sky right now?
Let's see.
M101. It's around the Big Dipper, around Ursa Major.
Oh yeah, no problem. It might be pretty low, so we'll see, but we should be able to grab it.
Cool.
Yeah. The moon isn't up right now, which is why we're doing this, because the moon sucks.
Yes. Yeah. You said it, not me, but that's...
Yeah. This is the
of
dawn
course,
of time.
the moon's interesting too,
destroy the moon. We will take a look at the moon at some point, but this is
for deep sky astrophotography, the moon is our enemy.
Yeah, and this is a really bad telescope for looking at the moon, for looking at the planets, for anything like that. So,
yeah, you'd want something higher magnification.
Yeah.
for planets and stuff like that.
Yep. M51. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So we'll go with 101, and then we'll do M51 and we'll do M51. Okay. All right. So let me move to 101. I'm getting excited here. The thing is that I can quite confidently say that all this stuff is great. So, hey Coy, how's it going? I didn't finish all. So, hold on. The Pinwheel Galaxy. All right, let me just go to that, and then I will. This is the only problem is I have a much harder time with the chat because I'm like trying to control the telescope at the same time. But yeah, so I've been mostly streaming over on Twitch as I sort of practice, and it's been pretty funny because I've been just going through object after object after object. And so Coy was watching over there, and I was just, I went through about 50 objects that night, and my goal was to hit a total of about 100, 200, just to find out everything that's in that one constellation, to know what's good, what's bad.
Yeah.
So, Uncle Bill is saying that the moon is now on his eastern horizon, so that's bad news. But we'll be out of here, before it really ruins the show. All right, Ring Nebula.
Yeah, in the UK, I heard a few people when I announced the time for this, they're like, "Oh man, it starts at 4 a.m. for me." I'm like, "Oh wow,
sorry
guys," but there's a few of them that made it out. So
yeah, that's our Canadian sorry. We both have the Canadian sorry.
Yeah, we're both in Canada, but man, we couldn't be a whole lot farther apart than we are. You're way in the west there.
Yeah, exactly.
But our scope is in the west too, but a lot down south a little bit.
So let me know when you can see the ring.
I see the ring. Look at that. And you can see that central star in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Ring Nebula is another example of a planetary nebula, the kind of nebula that our sun may or may not turn into when it dies. It's still some kind of it's still a controversy on what's actually going to happen. And so as the sun dies, it's going to puff, turn into a red giant, and then it's going to blow out all of its outer layers into space, and then compress down and turn into a white dwarf. And the really amazing part about this is a fairly new planetary nebula. So this star only died a few thousand years ago, and so it's still in the early stages of it blasting out all of those outer layers, and you can see that little white dwarf right there in the middle. And I think this is one of the objects that just completely blew my mind when I first saw it. When I was a kid, I was like 14 years old. I bought my first telescope. I looked up at the sky and was trying to see what objects I could see, and this was one of the ones that I could see. Absolutely amazing.
Wow. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can see the ripple emanating from that central star. Yeah. I would like to think that when our sun goes supernova and finally explodes, that it would create this beautiful nebula deserving of our sun.
So I got a bad feeling if you look at the telescope, it's a little low.
It's pointing at the wall.
It's pointing at the wall. So I should have taken a shorter exposure. And that's the Pinwheel. So we might be out of luck with a bunch of these objects in Ursa Major.
Right. Yeah. It's low in it's in the sky, but it's not clearing the height of the observatory.
Yeah. So I think I need to abort this picture.
Abort.
All right. I'm going to stop this shot because I gotta know. Well, no, I know we can't. All right. So essentially we can't do below about 20 degrees. Although it should be high enough. Man, M101 is pretty high right now. It's about 35 degrees. So we should be able to get it. Was I too scared? Okay, let me just see if we're looking at a wall here. Let me take a 5-second shot, and we'll see if we're looking at the wall. And if we're not, then I'm going to turn off the camera again and get the picture. Nice wall picture, yeah. All right, I'll take a 5-second picture and just see if there's a wall there. And if there is no wall, then I will turn off the camera so we don't get the light. That does look like a wall. Okay, then we're not gonna look at that.
Someone is saying the Andromeda is up.
Sure,
and,
let's do Andromeda.
If it is, it's probably pretty low, but
yeah,
it would be worth a shot.
Let me see. It's too low. It's 20 degrees right now. It's too low? So yeah, I can't do it. But give it a couple of hours. Depends on how long you want to do this for. We should be able to. I know it's late for you there. Got any more recommendations?
I was just thinking how it's great. Those whatever that passing cloud was, it seems to be gone now. It's are we in the clear?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a cloud. It was the light from the side of the wall. So,
that's all false alarm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I see you looking at Andromeda there on the screen. Okay. So M33 is something I'd want to look up, but I think that's even lower. But we could look at stuff in Cassiopeia. What's over there? The Heart and Soul is a little low right now.
It's a little low, yeah.
The Bubble Nebula would be coming up soon.
Let's go back to Sagittarius. I'm just going to turn off the camera, and we can do like the Eagle Nebula.
Yes, and the Swan would be nice.
And the Swan,
M17.
Yeah, and the...
those are some really bright, satisfying nebulas.
Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to go to the Eagle Nebula, but I might have to... We'll see how low the telescope goes again.
My first 2 years of astrophotography, when I found out all the amazing nebulae that came out in the summer in Sagittarius, I would spend the entire summer capturing as much time on basically those 4 targets: Lagoon, Trifid, Eagle, Omega, and just spend all summer getting as much time as possible.
Oh, someone asked for the Helix Nebula. Let me see. Is it setting or going up? No, Helix is too low right now. It's only about 10 degrees above the horizon. But I can definitely get... And it's going down. No, it's coming... I think it's going down. So we're probably not going to be able to get a good shot of the Helix. I'll keep an eye on it and see what we can do.
Okay. That's an amazing target.
Yeah, Helix is amazing. So you can see the telescope is shifting over to the Eagle Nebula right now, and we will see the Pillars of Creation. So for people who just joined us, what are we looking at here? I'm Fraser. That's Trevor. We are doing live astronomy viewing. So now this was not a shot that we took tonight. This was the North American Nebula that I took 2 nights ago. But this is an example of another object that's up there right now. We could go after it. In fact, it wouldn't be bad now that there's no... I took it with a lot of moon in the sky.
Okay.
And then we started with Albireo, which is a cool little double star that can be seen in small telescopes. And it's neat because one star is very blue and one star is a little more orange, although they don't really see it in this one. The Lagoon Nebula, which is in Sagittarius, and we saw that guy. The Trifid Nebula, which is great because it's these 2 colors. You've got the red and the blue together. Oh, the Iris Nebula is a good one as well. If you have
that's a great example of a reflection nebula.
Yeah, of a reflection nebula. Someone was asking for M13, so here's our M13 that we did for tonight, the Great Globular Cluster in Hercules. Although I call it, for the longest time I called it globular, and everyone gave me a hard time. So
I've heard it called both.
There you go. Apparently, it is perfectly fine to use either name. So,
that happens a lot in astronomy. Same goes for the star names. Because it's all that Latin, but there's acceptable ways of saying a number of them.
Yeah. And then we've got this is the Dumbbell Nebula, which is essentially a dead star. And then we got a shot of the Eastern Veil Nebula, which is a exploding dead star that died a few thousand years ago. And we're seeing the wreckage flying through space. And then we did the Crescent Nebula, which was kind of meh. which it needed a
That's not
longer
fair.
exposure. I'll
Well,
try.
yeah, all of the rest had an explanation for the type of nebula they were.
Yeah,
The Crescent Nebula is just meh.
yeah, man. Now see the as you can see, we're kind of staring down the barrel of the telescope right now again. So I'm gonna have to turn off the camera so that we can get a little bit of we won't get the light shining right down the camera, the telescope. And I'm gonna do a bit of a longer exposure. So we'll do a 180 second.
And what target are you on right now?
I am on the Eagle Nebula.
The Eagle. Okay,
Yeah.
so 3 minutes on the Eagle. That should pull out a lot of detail.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be good. And then
Yeah.
we ended up with the Ring Nebula. KD8 Poi asks, is the TeleVue mine? No, it is owned by Oceanside Photo and Telescope, which is a big telescope retailer down in San Diego, and they were generous enough to set up this telescope and let us use it. Um,
Someone's
and
asking for the Sombrero Galaxy. That's a really neat galaxy.
yeah, I would love to, but just what we see, just what's up in the sky,
Uh-huh.
and it
Yeah,
is
that's
too low. It's in the dirt right now, so we can't do that. The turkey neck, is that a thing?
the Turkey. I've never heard of that.
No, I think we just got trolled. You're gonna have to give us the actual right ascension and declination, please, if you want us to find this object, because we've never heard of it.
Well, you told me about the Fetus Nebula.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't have believed that unless you
yeah,
told me.
yeah. We
There's
could
so
try and
many.
go after the Fetus Nebula. It's gonna need a really long exposure, but it's it's like a mediocre planetary nebula. There's not a lot of really great planetary nebula. There's the Ring Nebula, the Helix, the Dumbbell. Those are like the really good ones.
Hmm.
Yeah. 100 Purple Avenue. Yeah, we're bringing the virtual star parties back. How much is this telescope? It's about a $7,000 telescope and a $7,000 mount and about a $2,000 camera. M11. Is M11 up? Oh yeah, M11 will be
Ooh,
no
that's a
problem.
good choice. The Wizard Nebula. I believe we could. That's available.
M11's another star cluster. Oh, it's the Wild Duck. Yeah, no, the Wild Duck cluster looks great. Ricky Kang is asking, what are we looking at? We are looking at a live view of through a telescope. And for everyone wanting Orion, no problem here. I'll show you where the Orion Nebula is. Right there. So here's the directly below the telescope in the ground, and the Orion Nebula is right there. So we'll have to wait a while before the Orion Nebula rises.
You know where the Orion Nebula is right now? It's in November.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's about $25,000 Canadian. It's not my telescope. It is Oceanside Photo and Telescope's telescope. All right, so I just got the Eagle. You said the Swan. So let's go to the Swan, and then we could go to the
The
Omega
Swan.
Nebula as well. So a
Yeah,
bunch.
they're all in the same
Yeah.
neighborhood there. Yeah.
So let's
Yeah,
do.
the Swan and the Omega are one and the same.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, the
Oh, okay.
M17. Yep.
All right, never mind.
I prefer Omega. It just sounds more
Yeah.
epic.
All right,
Yeah.
so we're going to the Eagle Nebula. So again, we're back. We went back to Sagittarius. All right,
We
telescope
came
is.
crawling back to Sagittarius.
Yeah, exactly.
They always do.
Yeah. And I will take a shot. All right.
Yeah, someone said the M42 is the most amazing nebula for me, and I think that's the case for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like that's the one that has the power to just get you hooked,
Yep. Yeah.
both visually and through taking pictures of it. It's just so stunning. I mean, it's a naked eye nebula, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You can like look in the approximate area where it is, and you can just see it.
Yeah, and I explain that to newbies all the time. I go, see that spot in Orion's belt, just under, see his sword there? That one in the middle, that's not a star. That's a nebula you're
Yep.
seeing.
Um, uh, oh, okay, hold on. All right, here's our Eagle Nebula. Let me just process it quickly.
Yeah, that's the Pillars of Creation is one of the most iconic astronomy images of all time that Hubble took. And when amateurs see that in the photo they took of the Eagle
Yeah,
Nebula,
yeah,
it's kind of a earth-shattering, like life-changing moment. You're
yeah,
like, that's real. Like,
yeah, yeah. So this is the Eagle Nebula, and you can see the Pillars of Creation in it. We actually already got the Veil Nebula home muffin. I can go back to that in a second, but I want Trevor to be able to see the. Oh,
oh
there.
boy, look at that.
Yeah,
That's an excellent image.
yeah. So that's the. So you can see where the Eagle Nebula is. This is Sagittarius, and this is the. Um, this is where it's located, and we just took that picture. Yeah.
That's yeah. Leave that up for a bit.
You like that? Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
people are wondering, like, yes, I just took this picture. So I'm using Stellarium to guide us around in the sky, but this picture here, I just took this with the telescope. So
Yeah, it's as close to live as it gets. I mean, that's a minute. That's a minute ago.
yeah,
That's what we
that's
were
a
looking at.
3 minute exposure.
Okay,
So I
so
I
that
know
was
people
four
don't have the
minutes.
patience for a 5 minute exposure, so I went with a 3 minute exposure.
Well, that was enough for this one.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I'll
Yeah,
just zoom
that
right
never
in. You
gets
can,
old.
yeah, and I'll go right in. You can see the pillars of creation.
Yeah, so that for people wondering about the telescope, that focal ratio that Fraser mentioned, the f2, that's a very fast telescope, meaning it collects light in a short period of time. So if you've got a telescope that's f6 or f7, you would need to take, like a 4 minute exposure to get as much light as we did in a 2 minute exposure on this one
Yeah.
because um, it just doesn't collect light as fast.
All right, so the swan is done. What were we gonna do next? The iris.
The iris,
All right, let's do
yes.
the Iris Nebula. Who recommended that? Scope Toast. You got it.
It's scope toast. And how long are we going to do on the iris? I think
I'm
three
gonna
minutes
try
would
a
do it.
3 minute one again. I've tried 2 minutes in the past. It doesn't look great, but it does. It looks really good in a color camera. So it's the right. This is the right machine to do the Iris.
That's the thing about reflection nebula. You like all the stuff we talked about, narrowband and
Yeah,
the filters like that. You don't need that. A stock color camera can
yeah.
capture everything from a reflection nebula.
I'll bring the telescope back now that we're moving away from the horizon. And so for people who, so we'll go to the Swan Nebula in Stellarium here. So you see it's very close. Still downloading. All right, I don't feel like we're tracking on it. Okay, hold on a second here. Find. I feel like we haven't moved, and the iris is much higher. So let me just see here. Okay, now we're still. The double cluster isn't very high right now. We can definitely do the double cluster in a second. NGC 6302. Where is that?
I do not know
No,
offhand.
the Butterfly Nebula, the Bug Nebula, but it's very low. It's only 15 degrees, so it's too low for this to be able to see
Oh,
right now.
the butterfly nebula is a great target, and that's in Cygnus when we do head back over there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right near that star Saturn.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in there.
Um, all right. So we're still slewing to the Iris Nebula. The Swan Nebula is up. So, yeah, so I highly recommend if you want to take a look at an object, um, grab Stellarium and see what's up in the night sky right now. The other thing that I really like, do you use the DSO Finder? It's a great
No.
website for kind of planning your night's observations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use Stellarium a lot and just kind of base because I'm in the backyard. I've got a lot of obstructions and trees and houses and stuff. I kind of
Yeah.
have to choose based on my, exact conditions.
All right. The Swan is pretty great, actually. Wow.
It's not fair. I want to see it
I
right
know, I
now.
know, I know. I shouldn't. I
It's
got to like
light.
remember that you can't see the live view when I am taking the picture. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh boy, look at that.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of these targets are as you shoot longer exposures, they grow in size. You get more of that outer nebulosity. So the bright portions you can get in a short exposure, and
yeah.
then as you expose longer, you get more and more around.
But you kind of
So,
blow out the middle part. So,
yeah, and then to get around that, you can combine the two: a shorter exposure of the bright parts with a longer exposure for the dim
yeah.
parts.
Sias is asking how big is the difference between different exposure times. So, it, I mean, if I want to show off a single star, I can take an exposure that's about 1 or 2 seconds. If I want to do a star cluster, I go for 30 seconds to about a minute. If I want to do like a nebula or a galaxy, I'll go for 2 to 3 minutes. M71, yeah, all right. I'm doing the Iris Nebula right now.
That's a great question. Someone brought up the Bortle scale. Do you know what the Bortle class is for the location of this telescope in California?
It's really dark.
Really dark.
Yeah,
So like a 2 or a 3 or
yeah. Bortle. Yeah, I don't know if it's a Bortle 1, but it's really dark. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. Okay, all right,
Yeah, that's
Cosmic Lettuce. We'll definitely go with M71. Let me just finish up because it's quick. So,
yeah.
um, so this. Yeah, I'm just gonna ban somebody.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
There we go. All right. So this, what kind of tracking? Oh, are you using guiding? Does this scope even need it? No, this telescope has no tracking and guiding because we're doing really short exposures. So let's see here.
That's a really robust mount, that Paramount as well too. So
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
actually get away without
yeah. It
guiding and
should be able to
for quite a
do
long
a
time.
like 20-minute exposure probably. So I've never tried it.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah, I have never actually gone longer
That'll,
than about
that'll
five
do it.
minutes. So, yeah, it's pretty funny. But I like this. We'll go after M71. We'll get some like really short exposure times. Will be great. Patrick, you're going too fast
Yeah,
for
I don't
us.
think a live audience would be.
Yeah, I don't think they'd
What's
really
that?
enjoy a 20-minute exposure. We were doing some
Yeah,
5-minute
only
exposures on
17
Twitch the
minutes
other
to
night.
go.
Yeah,
Right, and even that's a little long, eh? Two per 10 minutes.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the trick is, yeah, the alignment is dead on. They did a really careful job of setting it up to go after it, and so now I haven't seen any real star trailing. So like this is a 3-minute exposure. I don't see any trailing at
No.
all. A little vignetting over on the sides, but apart from that, like if I go over to the sides, I can see a little vignetting. Some of the stars are, but that's just more about the shape of the lens. So
Hmm.
okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
early on, getting
Iris is
that.
there. I'm gonna move to
Oh,
M71 as
since we can't
requested.
see it yet, how did the iris turn out?
I don't know yet. And I'm not going to say. I'm going to really try to not
Oh, okay.
say how anything looks.
Re-
All right, I'm going to slew the telescope to M71. And go from there. Are you there? Oh, yeah, you are still there. Okay. Looks like we lost you for a second. This is really nice. I'm really impressed with how well the Swan came out. Andromeda is
Yeah.
still a little low on the horizon. So let's give it another hour or so. It's actually, I'm kind of amazed. We started fairly early, so we're going pretty quick here.
Hmm.
All right, I'm going to take a picture.
Yeah. What didn't you say it was still light out when we
Yeah,
first got on the call?
yeah,
Like it must have just dark when we started.
yep. You're cutting out a little bit there.
Let's see.
All right. Comet. Yeah. So there is a comet we can go after. Does anyone know if someone who's watching right now can find me where the comet is, to the nearest bright star? Then I will find it. I've got it a couple of nights ago, so no problem.
What do you know which comment it is? Or has it got some
21P.
long? I see.
Oh, that's a little overdone. Yeah, 3 minutes is probably not even long enough. This is a tough nebula to get. Probably want it even longer. So the the Veil Nebula it's a great object though. That's maybe better. It's like just visible as like this blue glow around the this central star that's really bright. So it's not bright enough to actually blow out the
Yeah,
yeah,
that looks great.
yeah. And so I mean, this is what it looks like.
Yeah, yeah. You can see the clouds around that central star lighting it up,
Yeah,
and you can even see when you panned out, you can see it's blocking the stars behind it.
yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about this target. When you do expose it longer, you can actually see like the brown dust in the sky. It's really cool.
Yep. Now I see people making a bunch of requests. So someone asked for M22 Sagittarius cluster. Yeah, we could do that. I'd rather stay away from Sagittarius right now, and it's another globular cluster. So here, take a look at M13 and just imagine it's the same thing, but not quite as good. So 21P just above Capella. So let's see where Capella is. See how low it is on the horizon. Yeah. So it's not even visible yet. Perseus hasn't even risen yet. Man, it's funny. Okay. Let's plan a collaboration. Work on something that we can all see, like M16. Did we already do M16? Yeah, we did the Eagle Nebula.
We did do six.
Yeah. So here's the Eagle Nebula. We just did it, Diego. Near Alpha Auriga. Yeah. Yeah, it's still pretty low. So, hey, Apo Modernity. Glad to help. Yeah, so 21P isn't up yet right now. The Sombrero Galaxy isn't up right now. Is a telescope in a box outside with a retractable roof? Yes. It is in a garden shed in the middle of the desert of California. Let's see. So someone had asked for M71, so I'll do that. Yeah, okay. So someone's providing the actual number stats, which is great, but it's still too low right now. So I got it a couple of nights ago. It just had to be a little later. This is funny. I like all the requests. All we ask is that you, before you make a request, just check Stellarium and just make sure that thing that you want to see is up in the sky. What else is Sky Safari? All right, there's your M71. Are you not entertained? That's all right. Nice. Sort of a halfway between a globular cluster and a open cluster. Is it an open cluster? How long do these streams usually go on for? Todd is asking. We have no idea. This is the first one we've ever done. So,
it stops being.
Yeah, so when it stops being fun. All right, someone's asking for the Cat's Eye Nebula. I need another
that's
target.
A tough one. 13.
Let's try. Let's see. We'll know in 2 minutes. It's up though. So
IC 1396 is really it's tough without narrowband. That's the Elephant Trunk Nebula.
Yeah, that one doesn't look so great with this.
Yeah, it's up. Let's try it.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go after the Cat's Eye Nebula first, and then I'll go after the Eagle's Trunk. But I'll have to do a longer exposure for the Eagle Trunk Nebula. So we're slewing to the Cat's Eye. I think I have to do a meridian flip to get there. So just watch it.
You could just for the sake of seeing what the planets look through like a scope like this, unless it's so underwhelming, I'd rather not. There's people asking for Jupiter and Mars and stuff. If any, I would say Mars would be worth looking at, but I knew it's going to look like through a refractor at this focal length. But
yeah, we looked at Saturn. We called it Sadturn. So
I saw that.
Yeah.
The Sadturn.
Yeah, Sadturn.
Well, yeah, you don't want to. It deserves more than that. So let's not do planets then.
5-minute subs. So it was not a great object to look at. So now, going after the Cat's Eye is great. Long, sort of a long, slow slew to get there. I'm sure it's going to be a tough one to look at. I mean, we'll get something, but it won't be amazing. 55555. Have you ever seen a UFO on a telescope? Have you? I haven't.
No, I've seen satellites go through the eyepiece that really kind of startle me sometimes if you're not ready for it, or an airplane. It just comes blinking by. Ah! But those are I identified those objects.
All right, so we are tracking on this. I'll do a 60-second, and we'll see if that gets us anywhere, and then we'll go from there.
Do you know the lat-long coordinates for the observatory, Fraser?
It's really close to Joshua Tree. I just use San Bernardino for Stellarium. Okay. Yeah. So people are wondering.
Well, that would be some dark skies. Near Joshua Tree. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's out in the desert, in the Mojave Desert. Yeah, this is the only way to do astronomy, sitting, in cloudy Western Canada, running a telescope through the internet.
We bring the dark skies to us.
Tom Downs is asking if we see a quasar. We totally can, but it's very boring. It looks like a star. So just look at all of those stars that are in the image right now, and imagine one of those is a quasar. How big would the ISS look with this maximum level of zoom? Not great. The ISS would look, you might be able to just make out the TIE fighter shape of the ISS. Here we got a satellite in our shot of the Cat's Eye Nebula, so I'll show you that. You all want to see Saturn and Jupiter. Okay, you got it. You asked for this. Here. Let's see where Jupiter is.
Don't say we didn't warn you.
Jupiter's too low. Let me see Saturn. Saturn's no problem. Okay, we're gonna go for Saturn, and then everyone at this point can remember this moment when we looked at Saturn.
So this is going to be just a high resolution close up, just the most stunning image of Saturn.
You might even think you're like looking through the Hubble Space Telescope.
Oh, this is from the mission. That quality.
Yeah. So we're gonna move to
Saturn.
Saturn.
You set the bar pretty high.
I know. It was funny. So we did this the last time we did this virtual star party. Dustin, who is the owner of the telescope, he joined us, and I knew him seeing Saturn through it would be like, oh, I want to make some improvements. So Elon, we talked the next day, and he's like, okay, we got to make it better. We got to do this. We got to do that. I got a bunch of ideas. It was pretty funny.
We can't let that happen
We
again.
can't let that happen again. Yeah. So so he's setting up a whole separate planetary observatory, one that is designed just for this. So we got,
Oh, very cool.
yeah. So there is your Cat's Eye Nebula. And a little bit of a, I'll put the, well, there's a galaxy there, though. That's cool. So we've got the Cat's Eye Nebula down at the very bottom. We've got a galaxy just a little above it. That's just this little hazy, fuzzy bit. And then we've got a satellite went through the view. So I'm tracking on Saturn.
Oh, I see it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will take a 0-second view of it. And then I'll take a 0.001. I'll take a thousandth of a second view of it. Actually, I'll take a 200th of it. And I'll show you what Saturn looks like.
Yeah, and the reason for the ultra short, just so everybody knows, it's so bright. If he exposed it for even 5 seconds, it would just look like a bright, glowy star because with no details whatsoever. It's just too bright.
Yeah. All right, let me see what I can do. Let's try this.
Scopto said it. That's a really pretty smudge,
isn't it? Yeah. So
aren't they all?
I think if you want, I can go back and do like a 5-minute exposure. That's a 1-minute exposure. So if you want me to do like a 5-minute exposure, I can do that. If people want to see if we can pull anything out, but it's it's such a small object, requires such a long field of view. All right. So this Saturn is essentially worthless. Let me try the other one though.
I'm waiting for your reaction to set my expectations before it appears.
Okay, this one was no good. So let me grab the other one though, because I know it's a little better. I saw it in the telescope eyepiece, as it were. There it is. Okay. People are just gonna be. You've never seen Saturn like this. All right. Oh, I probably didn't want to do that. I don't even know where it is. Is that it? There it is. So. Huh. I kind of overexposed it. Okay. All right, so let's see. That is like the best. I kind of overexposed it. I can take another crack at it, so we're still pointing at Saturn. So let me do a bit of a longer exposure. 0.0. I'll go for a 1/100th of a second. So can you see it?
Just now. Yep.
Yeah.
And you can get I see the shape of it there, the ring.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, it would be nice to see even a little bit of the gap between the planet and the rings.
Yeah, I could see a little bit of the gap there.
Oh, yeah, just a hint. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so just so everyone is super clear about this, this telescope is not for looking at planets. But don't you remember when we looked at the Pillars of Creation? Wasn't that great? So,
that was impressive.
Yeah, there's your Sadturn. All right, one more Saturn, and then I hope when anyone says, "Oh, can I see Saturn?" then I'll just bring it back to this. We can do Mars too. No problem. Same thing. The moon actually looks okay.
At least you would get the color. The moon does look okay in the short exposure here.
Yeah, not great. Oh, we are looking right down the barrel here. All right, let's see how this does.
Yeah, there's something unsettling about a telescope pointed directly at you.
Yeah. All right. Not bad. Yeah. There you go. There's your Saturn. Mars and the moon. It's Mars is just going to be this little tiny circle. 46p.
You gotta give the people what they
We gotta
want.
give what they want. Are you not entertained?
They
Yeah.
they want an orange dot.
Yep. Craig is asking for Comet 46p. Where is it? I don't know if we can do that. In Stellarium. Will that tell us? No. So where is it near?
To Jamie R, we did look at the Iris Nebula about 10 minutes ago, and it did look pretty amazing, even in a 3-minute sub.
Here's the Iris Nebula. So this telescope has no purpose. There's the Iris Nebula. Where do you want to go? M31. Someone is asking for M31 again. Still feels a little low to me, but let me check. 26 degrees. I'd rather have it go a little higher.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if it's like looking at the. We'll go to M31. We'll see.
The Wizard Nebula, I believe, is one we could go after as well.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And that's around Cassiopeia, I believe. So I know that's a nice spot. There's the Iris. Yeah, just beautiful. That was like in year 2 of my astrophotography, the Iris was the one that just got me.
Yeah, the Wizard Nebula's up. We'll definitely go do the Wizard Nebula. All right.
Very nice.
All right, so I'm going to move the telescope to Andromeda Galaxy. A galaxy. Never mind what galaxy. Pelican Nebula, no problem. We can totally do the Pelican. It looks great. So, and the double cluster is still a little low right now. Can we see dark matter? No. The largest telescopes in the world can't see dark matter. That's sort of the whole point. That's why it's such a big mystery.
I saw in your recent video, Fraser, you said it should be called mystery matter or invisible matter.
Yeah, or crazy gravity. Yeah. So telescope recommended for planets. Any telescope but this one.
You need a longer focal length, so like an SCT is better for planets.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see how low do we go. I'm going to turn off the camera again though. Yeah, Saturn. Andromeda will look a little bigger than Saturn.
Just a little.
People ask if we see Alpha Centauri. So we're in the northern hemisphere, and Alpha Centauri is only visible from the southern hemisphere. So all of those people in the southern hemisphere can see it. We can't.
And it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. Yeah. We can't see the Omega Cluster. We can't see the large and small Magellanic Clouds. We can't see
Tarantula Nebula.
The Tarantula Nebula.
Nice.
Yeah, so not fair. But yeah, so there's lots of. I mean, pretty much any small telescope that you can buy small telescopes. You like Dobsonians, they'll show you Saturn, the planets, no problem, and that's what I really recommend.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So KD8 Poi is saying Explore Scientific put their 127 on sale for $299. That's a great price.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're tracking, so I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna turn off the camera but it's definitely above the side of the.
Yeah, it looks like it's clearing it.
Yeah, so I'll take a shot. I'll take my shot, and then. You liked the Wizard Nebula after that?
Yeah.
All right. So let me just I'm going to do a 3-minute exposure of Andromeda. That might be even too long. We'll do 2-minute.
The funny thing about that view of the observatory we have, I love the little doormat and then that tiny little lamp on the counter.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
I could turn that lamp on and off.
No way.
Yeah. I don't know whether I can, or at least I can turn off the power to it. It all depends on whether they've left the actual light on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
People wanting you to turn your background lighting down. It's like you're ruining your night vision, man.
That's it's just one light here.
Yeah.
No. I I wish I'm sorry guys.
Yeah.
I'm overexposed.
Wish we play some Rush in the background. This isn't Twitch. We're very respectful of copyright
Some rush
here.
in the background.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
very respectful and careful about copyright here on YouTube. You can just imagine they would show right up and haul us off to jail. Ronnie Christensen, yeah, I'm doing this on Twitch almost every couple of nights actually, and they're much longer streams, a little more unstructured. In this case, Trevor and I are kind of going at high speed, but yeah, no, we do this and I do this on Twitch every couple of nights. So, F. Cain, what is Canada's greatest rock band? Rush or Triumph?
Oh, two great bands. The funny thing about Rush is the drummer's from my hometown, St. Catharines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Neil Peart.
Um,
There's a ton of great Canadian bands, though.
So here's a good question for you. Chris Astro Channel asks, what's the best telescope for deep astrophotography without chromatic aberration?
The best telescope type for deep sky astrophotography without chromatic aberration would be an apochromatic refractor, similar to the one we're using here.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't have to spend $7,000 for one. You can get like a nice 70 millimeter apochromatic.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
you
like
don't need that massive size. You could get
six
you
or
could
seven
get a
hundred
six.
dollars.
For $600 or $700, you could get like a 70 millimeter or
Yeah,
60 millimeter apo refractor,
yeah,
wide field images. And just beautiful image quality.
yeah. All right, picture will be done in a second. So where do you want to go now?
All right. Well, what's pending right now? What's coming up?
Andromeda.
We did
Someone asked
Wiz-
for NGC
Okay,
226. Oh, you on the Wizard? That's right. Let's do
the
that.
Wizard. Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like I'm never gonna get my Wizard.
All right, let's do it. We are off to see the
And
Wizard.
the Bubble Nebula might be something we could try too.
Is it up?
It's a bit lower than the Wizard, but
Okay. Let's see.
it's
Let's
I
see
think
what
it's between Perseus and Cassiopeia. So
all right, I'm going to turn the camera back on now that we're done taking that picture. All right.
so Scopetos asked what chromatic aberration is, and in your images, what you would see around bright stars is kind of that blue fringing around it that you see from that type of lens. You would see it even if you took a shot of the moon. You would see it, or along the edges, you would see kind of a blue or purple fringe. And that's what chromatic aberration looks like.
All right, hold on to your hats. Andromeda's here.
Oh, it's Andromeda time.
Yeah. And this is the big crowd pleaser. This is the big showboat galaxy. Um,
It's such a monster. Like it's what is it? The size of they measure it in full moons, and I think it's like what 6 full moons across or something.
um,
Like it's pretty massive.
yeah, I mean it'll fit in this. It'll fit in this whole scope. Barely.
Yeah, barely. And this is a really wide field of
Yeah.
view. I mean, you saw how small some of those planetary nebula was. So
All right.
the
I'm gonna
galaxy
try and find
to
the
fill
right. I gotta find the right.
Yeah, the core is really bright, eh?
Yeah, so it's hard to show off that the 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 arms at the same time that we're showing off not getting completely obscured on the core. So that'll do.
Okay. Well,
But again,
that'll
this
do.
is a 2 minute exposure, so I went quick. I could have done a much longer exposure, but and I'm gonna do a longer one on the Wizard. Let's go. We'll go 3 minutes on the Wizard.
I think sometimes it's easy to forget because we've been looking at images like this for so long, how incredible that is. But if you're new, I'm sure you're just like your jaw just hit the floor seeing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see the companion galaxy next to it there
Yep.
in the top left.
Yeah. M110. What's the top one? So there's
I can't
M30. That's
remember.
M31. I think that's M32 beside it. here, and then that's is that M110?
It's not. Oh, it could
Yeah,
be 110.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so this is so I'm zoomed out, right? This is the whole field of view, and so the moon is about this big. So just imagine how big this would be. See you later, Cosmic Lettuce. You're next, by the way. You're gonna join me one of these nights and hang out and look at the night sky. So clear your calendar.
Crowd pleased, mic drop. That's right. They should call it the mic drop galaxy.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this is only a 2 minute exposure. It looks a lot better if I do like a 5 minute exposure. You get like the really faint nebulosity and the sort of the spiral arms. But it's always this delicate balance, right? Like if I start to brighten it up, you get the arms. Like look at those arms. But then it's just completely. It's so bright in the core.
Hmm.
Yeah. So why is it so bright in the center of galaxies? Asks Jeff Laporte. That's where all the stars are.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. How long do you have to be looking at the companions to realize they're moving? I don't know, millions of years? Yeah, the field of view is about about 5 degrees.
5 degrees. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a f to 520 millimeter.
520. Okay, that's quite wide.
Yeah. HDR, yeah, no, I haven't done an HDR on it. I'm a lot of people really like to do that, to sort of take a bunch of pictures. So, yeah, if you guys want, I can go back and do a 5 minute exposure, but then you got to wait, right? We're doing a 3 minute on the Wizard right now. So what's after the Wizard? You got to tell me.
Bubble Nebula.
We're going to go for the Bubble. And where's the Bubble Nebula?
Mhm. It shouldn't be.
Oh, it's really close.
far off.
We may
Yeah.
get them in the same shot then. Okay. How
And the
close?
bubble's kind of similar to the crescent, where you see some of the
Okay.
sharp edges of it in broadband color, but to really get the full structure, you need to do it in
Yeah.
narrowband. But it's still, you do see the bubble shape. It's really cool.
Yeah. How can we see what's Water is asking, how can we see what's Andromeda lensing? I don't understand the question. Yeah, so someone is noting, Mad Science Workshop is noticing there's a supermassive black hole at the middle of this photo. Yeah, so at the very center of this photo, there's a black hole with 100 million times the mass of the sun. All right, so I'm going to go to the bubble. Wizard has been acquired. So we'll go to the Bubble Nebula. And I like this because these are close.
And then after that, it would be cool to go back to Cygnus to bang off some of those.
We'll do the North American Nebula again, and we'll do the
Beautiful.
Pelican,
Okay.
and we'll do maybe we'll go to 5 minutes for those just to. All right, so we're on the nice thing though is they're so close, so I'll just take my next picture.
Now, did you call it what it's the actual name, or the North America Nebula, or did you say North American Nebula?
I said North American. Is it North America?
It's a North America Nebula.
Oh, is it?
Myself and so many people, call it the North American Nebula,
Yeah, I call it the North American Nebula.
as if North America claimed it as their own nebula, but it's the North America Nebula because it's the shape.
Jamie R is asking, can I ask a question regarding dew heaters? Is it best to locate them at the very end of the dew shield or level with the objective lens?
I could take that one, and you want it right where the objective lens is. Yeah, so you want it close to where that glass, the objective lens glass is, because that's where the dew is going to be collecting. So you want the heat source to be right there, as opposed to at the end of your dew shield.
All right. No promises on this one. I have never taken a shot. Oh, there's a nice dark nebula in it, though. Okay. Oh, it's just barely there.
The Wizard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But there's a dark nebula right beside it, which is kind of cool. So this is the wrong instrument for doing uh, these kinds of objects, but we're in the works to modify this telescope. So OPT has, you're gonna love this. It's three filters that are in front of the camera all at the same time. So one lets in light for hydrogen and applies that to the red channel on the color camera. One lets in oxygen and applies that to the blue channel on the camera. And one lets in sulfur and applies that to the green channel on the camera. So it makes a full color picture with those three lenses all at the same time. And so you don't have to do any, like, it just takes one photograph, but it'll be as if it was it'll make a color
Incredible.
picture. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the plan is that they're going to modify this telescope to have that, and then they're going to set up a second telescope, a much faster telescope than this one, Celestron Rasa, 11-inch.
Rasa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's going to be doing this work, but it's going to be probably about 10 times faster.
Oh, wow.
So he says. So that's the plan.
Yeah, the incredible thing is about these little quick shots that you're taking, we're just hopping from target to target. The image quality we're getting here is what it took me an entire night's worth of imaging
I know.
and processing for a week
Yeah.
to get when I started. And I was thrilled with them. And now we're getting them in, in under 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I know. Isn't this just intense that we're just going through these objects this quickly?
So, oh, boom, pillars of creation. Okay, what's next?
Yeah. All right. So let's go to the North America Nebula next.
Correct.
Yeah. And we're going to do a 5-minute exposure on that.
Oh, wow. We're going deep.
Yeah. Well, I'm not happy with this nebula. So clearly,
No, it's worth the wait for sure.
We need to go deeper. Yeah. So we'll do that.
The anticipation too, it just for anyone doing backyard astrophotography with a DSLR, if you're taking a 5-minute exposure and you're just waiting for that picture to show up on the back of your camera screen, when it does pop, you almost can't breathe, depending on how well it turns out. But
yeah,
that never gets old.
NGC 2264. Did we look at that already? The Christmas tree cluster is in the dirt.
It's in the dirt. That's over with Orion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can't do that right now. So let me do a 300-second exposure, but this will be worth it. And we'll do that with the Pelican too. I speak from experience. Leo is down. Right there. Dirt. Can't do the Cone Nebula unless you have some way of looking through the dirt.
Yeah, we're kind of in a transitional month as far as targets go. The summer stuff is kind of starting to go on its way out, but the fall stuff isn't high enough, like Taurus and Pleiades and all that stuff. And Andromeda really is a fall target as well.
Yeah, and so as we pushed later and later into the fall, then the Pleiades, Taurus, Orion Nebula will eventually come up. So we'll see a lot of great stuff. But you go for what you can at the time of the year that you're at. So this is the bubble. No problem. Oh yeah, okay. And there's a great little star cluster beside it. I mean, oops, sorry.
Yes, there is a star cluster close by.
Yeah. Okay. This is neat. I shouldn't have said that. All right. It's not great. It's not great.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But there's like a little star cluster beside it, and but I kind of had to tweak it. I really had to stretch it to show the bubble shape, but you can totally see it.
Right. Oh yeah. No, that looks excellent.
Yeah.
That's great. I definitely see the bubble shape. You can kind of see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the stretched version versus the non. Yeah, that's so in image processing, when you apply a stretch to the entire image all at once, yes, you're pulling forward the dim details of the nebula, but you're also pulling forward those stars too. So you end up with all these bloated stars because you're kind of pulling everything forward at once.
Yeah.
The key is just to process them separately. You leave the stars alone and pull the nebula out from beneath it.
Yeah. 46P comet in Cetus by Deneb Katos. Is it? So beside Deneb
Okay.
uh, Katos. Too low.
Yeah, Rich says I prefer not so dark background sky, and I'm with you there too. It like a completely flat background black sky is not ideal either. You want it to be kind of a gray color so you can actually see. You're not clipping the data.
Yeah.
That's something you could do when you take your time to process an image for a few hours as opposed to just doing a quick stretch like we're doing here.
Yeah. You want me to zoom in a little bit? Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, the bubble still looks cool. Someone said. I agree.
Yep. Yep. Lunar base. The moon isn't up right now, and even if we did, we wouldn't be able to see anything on the moon, apart from craters, and we wouldn't see very many. So what is the? I don't know what the cluster is on the left-hand side of the Bubble Nebula. Let's see if the Stellaris tells us. Stellarium. One's a video game. Let me see. No, I don't think it has a name here. HIP 115542 is what that object is. So NGC 6188. I don't know.
If you guys can excuse me for 1 minute, my telescope is running in the backyard right now, and I just need to stop it from crashing into the mount because I can see in my little monitoring cam that it's very close. I just got to fix that. 1 minute.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I know what he wanted after this. We'll do the Pelican after I do the North America Nebula. So Lee Rogers, yeah, we're going to try and find a comet. There's a really bright one, 21P, but it's still a little low on the sky right now. So it's going to be a couple of hours before it comes up. So we'll try and get that. Just need to wait for the sky to move. Wait for the Earth to move. Why don't we see any redshift with this telescope? All stars look equally bright. This telescope isn't that sensitive for detecting the redshift, and so you would need a really sensitive telescope specifically designed for that. Hi, Night Quaker. How's it going? What is the red spot? Do you mean the red spot in this nebula? I don't know whether the Bubble Nebula is actually a hot star that is blasting out material into space and forming this big bubble. Hurry up, Earth. Yeah, come on, Earth. All right, I'm going to wait for Trevor to get back before I show you the North American Nebula. And we'll grab the Pelican Nebula as well while we're at it. And again, I'm going to do a big, long 5-minute exposure on that.
All right.
Disaster averted?
Yeah, it was about 2 millimeters away. Just the camera running almost right into the lake.
Yeah. Someone said something, they just hear a beer open. It is Friday night.
Yeah, I'll crack the beer after this is in celebration.
All right, so have I moved to the Pelican? Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll take that shot.
So someone asked, is the telescope being guided by Stellaris? And I think you mean
No.
Stellarium, and it's not being guided, but he is choosing his targets. So he's controlling the telescope mount.
Yeah, I'm not using Stellaris Stellarium. One is the video game. One is the astronomy software. Yeah, so I'm not using Stellarium to do that. I'm using the software BISC, the Sky X.
Right, the Sky X.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. That's a little overdone. Let's see. There we go. So there's the North American Nebula.
Okay, and this was a 5-minute exposure.
This is a 5-minute exposure.
And it's going to appear any minute, but were you able to fit most of the entire nebula in there?
You're going to have to see for yourself, huge. Man.
Here it comes. Oh, yeah. Very nice. It's actually really cool to see you go through the steps of stretching.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sort of, again, I'm doing this very quickly. Ned Quaker's asking, which telescope would be good to start with? Good value for the money. It all just depends on what you want. So if you want to learn the night sky, I always recommend astronomical binoculars. I've got mine here. Right?
I've got those.
Yeah, these are great. Celestron... Skymasters 15 by 70s, and a lot of the objects that we're seeing here you can actually see in a nice pair of binoculars. And then you want M51. Yeah, let's try M51 again. And then, if you want a telescope, it all depends on whether you want to do astrophotography or not. If you want to do like just visual observing, Trevor likes a light bucket Dobsonian. I like something that's got an equatorial mount on it that's maybe a little bit smaller, and start from there. And if you still find yourself going out every night and using your telescope and looking at the planets and you want to go deeper, then you can go forever and just spend all the money.
I will say it's probably not the smartest idea to jump straight into astrophotography as a beginner new to the night sky. Like, start with visual observing first. I think that's a great way to do it, because astrophotography can be it gets really complex and really expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas if you start with visual observing, you'll always have that scope because you'll want to do that as well.
Yeah.
It's a totally different animal.
KD8 POI is saying, do you think small APOs are the way to go for beginners in astrophotography? I love APO. So this is an APO, an apochromatic refractor. And they're my favorites. They are, they're simple to use. They're kind of, you don't have to do any fancy collimation. You don't have to, it's just, it's a telescope. It's like a camera lens that you just attach. And they're really simple to use and a lot of fun. I am not but I mean, the reflectors are bringing a lot more light, can take much more sensitive images, but they're just a little more finicky than a refractor. So it's just nice to have a nice fast refractor. But that's me.
The big thing about refractors, and they are like a camera lens too, like as you said, they're, because of that wide field of view, they make tracking so much more forgiving. As soon as if you get an SCT or something that's looking really deep with that high magnification, it doesn't take much to get, star trailing and everything in your tracking. Whereas that wide field of view, you can get away with those longer exposures and not see the subtle movements nearly as much.
Yeah. But the Zyven Volnia says, I recommend spending at least $10,000 on telescope equipment before you even go outside after 6 p.m. Yeah, the key is that it needs to fit in your car, right? That's, figure out how big of a car you have, and then that's the size of telescope that you get. Anthony asks, is there an Uber type app for telescopes that lets people pay for the time of the year? Yeah, there totally is.
There is.
Slew is one. iTelescope is another. So there's a bunch of services out there that you can pay them by the hour and use a telescope that is better than this one. So check them out.
Deep Sky West is another one I've heard of.
Yeah. All right, my Pelican Nebula is done. I'm going to try and go after M51 because it's a real treat. And then... But I might have
It's amazing.
Oh, go ahead.
how similar the North American Nebula you just shot is to the one that was on the cover of this intro video. Very consistent.
Yeah. Although this one has no moon.
Right. So a little better.
A little better, yeah.
A little better.
Yeah. All
I
right.
just went outside and I did see that moon rising.
Oh, you see it? Well, it's,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, future man.
Yeah. And it's the same one that's near our scope in California there.
Yeah. But I'm 3 hours behind you, so
Hmm.
I probably won't see the moon yet.
That's true.
Tommy Pickles has a 24-foot flatbed trailer. Then you should be okay. Yeah, you'll need a very big telescope. Yeah, so we're gonna try M51. Um, as soon as the Pelican Nebula downloads, we'll check that out.
Roger says he uses Miatas as roller skates.
All right, so I'll put up the Pelican, and then I'll do a recap for people who are joining us, so they can sort of see what we've already been through. All right, here's the Pelican.
Yeah, the Pelican is real close by to the North American Nebula. In a wide, really wide field shot with a camera lens, you get them both in the same shot.
Yeah, you can really see some trailing on this longer exposure on the side, some vignetting. But Tom Downs, do I have a better telescope than the one that I'm using? Absolutely not. This is so much better a telescope than the one that I have. I'll do a 3-minute exposure.
Oh,
How
there it
low is
is.
that telescope? I'm gonna turn off the camera, but I think I'm just above the side. So I'll do
It appears to be.
I'll do a 1/82nd, and I will turn off the light. So we're gonna say goodbye to the telescope for a second, and I'll take my shot. What do you think of the Pelican?
That looks really, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you just realize that you want a telescope. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's they're pretty great. Cheap. Can I just log into a scope, set a request, and see the pictures for free? Not for free, but you can rent time on a telescope. FIFO fast. Are we doing any science here? Just looking at pretty colors. Just looking at pretty colors.
And what's wrong with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we're not doing one iota of science here. None. Yeah. No, I don't. I've got a terrible telescope. Actually, well, so I mean, compared to this, so my telescope is a 70 millimeter APO.
Hmm.
So it's it's nowhere near as fast, but the thing that's worse for me here is I have terrible skies. I have clouds all the time. It rains for half the year, so I can only really use the telescope in the summertime. And then where I live, it's light polluted, and I'm clogged by trees everywhere. So yeah, it's not great. You're five. Neil Johnson's 5-month-old is watching this. That's how I got into it. My dad and my mom were super into astronomy, and they took me out to see meteor showers and watch Star Trek on TV. And yeah, Mr. Tommy Pickles, how difficult was this all to set up? Dustin from Oceanside Photo and Telescope just did it and said, I mean, we had to go back and
So
forth a bit. I told him what I wanted. I told him what my plan was. And you're seeing it. This is the plan, right? The plan is I want to be able to show objects in the night sky really fast. And he was like, okay, no problem. I think we can do it. So just I want to give people a quick recap here for people who just joined us. So we started with Albireo, which is a double star. Then we went to the Lagoon Nebula, which is really cool. Then We did the Trifid Nebula, which is great. It's got this nice red and blue in at the same time. Then we went for the Great Globular Cluster in Hercules, M13. Then we went after the Dumbbell Nebula, which is a planetary nebula, a dying star. Then we did the Eastern Veil Nebula, which is a supernova remnant of a star that exploded a few thousand years ago. Then we went after the, was it the Cocoon? There was the Crescent Nebula, which kind of didn't work as well as it could. We did the Ring Nebula, which looks great, which is another dying star. And then we did, where are we now? We did the Iris Nebula, which is great. It's beautiful, sort of dark. What did you say? It's a reflection nebula.
Yep.
And then we did M71, which I forget. It's a star cluster. And then we did this little, one of the Cat's Eye Nebula, and it was not our best shot ever. Good old Sadturn. Sadturn. Yeah. Then we did Andromeda, M31. And then we did the Wizard, which didn't work out so well for us, even with a long exposure, so not our nebula. And then we did the Bubble Nebula, which turned out okay. And then we did the North America Nebula, and then the Pelican, and now we're going to do the Whirlpool Galaxy?
M51?
Yeah, and I need a target while I'm playing with this one. So if you have another recommendation, does anyone have another recommendation? Somebody wanted some other stuff that's nearby would be great. Maybe a little north of it would be nice.
Oh, we didn't do the Butterfly Nebula in Cygnus.
In Cygnus.
In Cygnus. I know we're moving away from it, but if we went back, the Butterfly Nebula can really pop.
I think this looks all right. Okay.
And then we could try M33 if it's high enough.
M33 is not going to be high enough.
It's not high enough.
Yeah. Let me know when you see the Whirlpool. Let's try the Pinwheel. It's higher.
Oh yeah.
So I'll go after the Pinwheel next.
Amazing.
Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll do the Pinwheel Galaxy.
And those spiral arms, you can really you can pick them. Yeah.
And so what you're seeing is this merging galaxy between, these two galaxies that are merging together. All right, let me go for the Pinwheel. It'll look the same. All right, this is going to be great. Betelgeuse is not up right now. So, the Fireworks Galaxy, is that up? Huh. Yeah, we're going to do M101.
I've seen some photos floating around of people shooting it. I think it is up, actually, the Fireworks Galaxy.
All right, let me see.
It's dim, though.
All right, so I'm tracking M101. I'll take a 3-minute exposure again.
Yeah, people are really loving this.
Yeah, isn't that just it's a crowd pleaser. I like it better than Andromeda. Andromeda's just so bright, you don't get the faint structures.
Absolutely. This visually too is much more satisfying than Andromeda, believe it or not.
Upcycle Electronics. You keep saying Oceanside Photo and Telescope, and you're putting it together. You know the place. Go drop by, ask for Dustin. Say Fraser sent me, and he'll show you around and show you telescopes. And he's
got a killer Instagram account too.
Yeah, he's an amazing photographer. All right, so let me see where the Fireworks Galaxy is. Yeah. Oh yeah, we could totally grab that. All right, let's do that after this. So as soon as this exposure is done, I'll go after that. Oh, actually, Bode Galaxy is next to the Pinwheel. Okay, so let's do Bode next, and then Boats Galaxy, and then we'll go to the Fireworks Galaxy. Oh, and the cigars there too. Oh no, they're too low. So sorry,
I figured.
yeah, they're 15 degrees, so it's just too low for this telescope. We can't go any lower than about 20 degrees. Grab a quick exposure on Mars. No, it'll. Do I? Do I have to remind you? Saturn.
Yeah.
Triangulum isn't high enough right now either. So
Right. I know it's below
yeah.
Andromeda.
So I'll go for the fireworks, and you want me to do a 5 minute exposure? All right. No, three is okay. If it
Yeah, you're
doesn't
gonna
work,
have to do your stretch routine to it, but
yeah,
we'll see it in 3 minutes.
yeah. Nightcracker wants to see some more supernova remnants. Well, I mean, the main supernova remnants, right, are the Eastern Veil,
You could do the other
Witch's
veil, the
Broom.
western, yeah, the witch's broom.
Sure,
That
yeah,
one's
okay,
actually for someone looking for a visual target as far as nebula goes. The witch's broom, the Western Veil Nebula, can be quite satisfying with if you have enough aperture and you're under dark skies. You can follow along with it the wispy tendrils. It's one of the most memorable nebulae I've seen through a telescope. Is the witch's broom.
yeah, yeah. No, I know that one looks good. Although we'll probably want to do about a 3 minute on that. The Helix Nebula is coming up, so it's still a little low. So maybe again, depending on how long we do this for, give it a few more, another hour or so. So Fabio Grimaldi's asking, why can you see Andromeda so well and Saturn so badly? So Andromeda is really bright and really big, while Saturn is really bright but really small. And actually, I did a 3 minute exposure of Andromeda, and I did a 1/100th of a second exposure of
It's a
Saturn.
totally different
So
technique
it's just
photography wise.
yeah, so it's just a completely different kind of technique, and you can definitely have a telescope that can do both, but it won't do either one really great. So you kind of want to specialize. And so I had to choose as we were setting this up. Do we want to make a telescope that will be really good for those big, wide fields of view, or do we want something that can show a lot of different objects, or do we want something that can do something very quickly, like like Saturn? I mean, we could do Saturn and we could do Mars when they're up, which they're not
And the
most of the
moon.
year, right? There's big chunks of the sky when we wouldn't be able to see really anything in the sky with a planetary setup. But when they
Mhm.
are up, they're amazing. The moon, Saturn, Jupiter. So I would much rather have this kind of a setup, right? Because you can see all these great things we're looking at. All right, so I'll go after the Fireworks Galaxy now. It's right beside the Ghost Bush Cluster. Okay. All right, I'm going to move to the Fireworks Galaxy, and then I'll show you the M101. Now, this is the thing that the poor people in the Southern Hemisphere don't get, is they don't have these great galaxies. They can't see these at all, and they hate us.
So we got that on them.
Yeah. Okay, NGC 6946.
The pinwheel was a little too low, I believe. I don't
No,
think
I got
we
it. I got the
intentionally.
pinwheel.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's coming.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Crush Nut. I still think this picture of Saturn is neat. That's light from another planet. It's true. It doesn't matter how small it is on the screen there.
Yeah.
The idea that it's a photo of another planet in our solar system is pretty remarkable.
All right. There's your pinwheel. Yeah, but they can see the large and small Magellanic Clouds. So, all right, I can turn the light on the telescope back on.
Pinwheel. Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's incredible.
that looks good.
Yeah, you can see some of the nebulae
Yeah.
that's a part of that galaxy
Yeah.
that's not, in our own.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the nebula in another galaxy. So someone asked earlier, like, what's the farthest nebula that we can see? In other galaxies. Yeah, Scope Toast. That was a 3-minute exposure. So again, it's a ridiculous machine. I love it.
Yeah, that turned out great, the
Yeah,
pinwheel.
yeah, and again, we're gonna. Dustin has plans to make this go even faster. So people want to see what multiple different exposures look like on the same object. Sure. I'm doing the fireworks galaxy right now on a 3-minute exposure. I'll do a a 10-second exposure on the fireworks galaxy, and then you can compare. So this is a 3-minute exposure.
Yes, you are. Someone asked if they're seeing hot pixels too. Yeah, you are seeing a few hot pixels in there too, which
Yeah,
a part of the stacking process is layering them on top of each other to remove artifacts like that.
yeah,
But in a single exposure that you really stretch, you're going to see
yeah.
those artifacts.
Roger Wilco's asking, I know nothing about telescopes. How much does this one cost? 5 figures, 6 figures? It's about a $7,000 telescope with about a $2,000 camera with a $7,000 mount. Yeah, I'm floored. That's so good. M31 can buzz off. Yeah, Andromeda is amazing, but it's so bright that that core just takes over. So you've got to be you've got to use a bunch of tricks to get a nice balanced photograph of Andromeda that looks as nice as this from one exposure. You've got to take a bunch of different shots, one for the core, one for the one for the
The outer
arms,
arms.
and then
Yeah,
stack them up in a way and then sort of mess around with it to sort of get something that you like. So,
that's right.
what's the most distant galaxy you can see with the backyard telescope? I don't know. I mean, you can see quasars, which are billions of light years away, uh, and you can see. Let me see if I'll show you I'll show you a galaxy, another example of a galaxy here. Was it? Hold on, the Ring Nebula. Find the Ring Nebula. I lost the Ring Nebula. That's not it. No. It's just too many. We've just got too many objects now to go back. There. Okay. So check this out. There is a galaxy nearby. And well, unless I did a meridian flip. Let me find it. Hold on. I'm going to really tweak this image. Yeah, okay. So there's a tiny little galaxy beside the Ring Nebula right here. So I know this is like a really messed up image. You can see that little blue fuzz there.
And then that galaxy right down at the bottom there.
No, the galaxy is the blue in the middle of the screen. So there's a
Oh,
galaxy
okay.
really close, a really faint little galaxy that's right beside the Ring Nebula, and
Ah,
so and so you can see it in that image. And so those are the kinds of things that you can see um, that are very far away. They're teeny tiny.
mm-hmm,
So there
mm-hmm.
you go. You can see it right down here. I'm just sort of zooming out. So that's a galaxy. And so a lot of the times you just get these little tiny little specks. Yeah, and so things like the Deerlick group or Stevens quintet, I can definitely bring those up, and they just look like a bunch of little smudges. So
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. Someone mentioned Markarian's chain.
Yeah.
earlier. It's the same sort of thing. There are lots of galaxies. They're not so impressive shape wise, but the fact that there's so many galaxies condensed into a single spot is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Um, why does it look blue in this? I don't know why it turned blue in this shot. The other times that I've taken pictures of it, um, it has been like a little gray speck. But the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, did I discover a comet?" And I showed Dave Dickinson, who's my one of the writers for Universe Today. The guy's working on the book with me, and he's like, "Nope, that's a galaxy, NGC," and he rattled off the number, you know. So, so this is the Fireworks Galaxy, NGC 6946. It's nice, um, but you can see that. So people wanted the comparison. So here we go. So I took the 10-second view,
Right.
and this is the 3-minute view. So let me just, I'll show you the comparison here.
Oh, that did turn out nice.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of galaxies that are smaller. I mean, M101 and M51 are just ridiculous objects, right? Um, okay. So I'm putting up the 10-second picture, 10-second exposure of that same view of the sky. So tell me if you don't see a galaxy there. It's in there. And so 10 seconds was
Okay.
just not a long enough exposure to
Right.
be able to show it.
And I think in that 10-second shot, you're seeing the core only, and it's hard to distinguish between that and just a bright star.
Yeah. So there's no, yeah, maybe that red spot that's right in the middle there is part of the galaxy. So that's the difference between a 10-second exposure and a 3-minute exposure. So a
That's
180
right.
second exposure. And if I did a 300-second exposure, it would look even better. You'd see even more delicate features in the spiral arms. So
Yeah, and it's pretty much invisible on the 10-second
yeah,
exposure.
yeah. 69, 39. There's a little star cluster that's nearby that I want to find, called the Ghost Bush Cluster, the Flying Geese Cluster.
You gotta love these names.
Yeah, I know. Um, have I? Douglas Raymond asks, have you ever captured a meteor with your camera? Like a long exposure with like a big wide field of view, for sure. Have you?
hmm Yeah. Oh, yeah. Perseid meteor shower. I did. It was just a wide angle camera lens on a tracking mount, and I would just leave it running, looping 2-minute exposures, and after a while, you're bound to catch a few.
Yeah. Perseverance asks, are there any space objects that you're curious to taste? Apparently, there's objects that like uh, have the same chemical compound as raspberries, and there's alcohol in space. So, good question. Crush Nut asks, what's better, 300 1-second exposures stacked, or a straight 300-second exposure?
I've heard theories that it will produce very similar results. I find it hard to believe that 301-second exposures could reveal as much as a single 300-second sub would.
Yeah.
I've never actually
But
experimented
you
with
would
it
have to
myself.
add them up, right? Like you would have to do
Yeah,
if you did a stack, you would have to add the light from all those exposures.
yeah, the
Yeah.
same total exposure
Yeah.
time, but I just don't think it works that
Yeah.
way with
Like
a 1-second exposure.
when you're taking a long exposure, you the thing you're concerned about is the star trailing. You're just concerned with keeping the telescope in exactly the right position for the entire time. And And that's the, and that's the problem, is that if it, if you get like a little bit of motion in the object you're taking a picture of, then the whole thing is worthless, right? And so you're trying to take as long of exposures as you can to not get any of that star trailing. And then you'll take as many pictures as you can, and then you stack them up. And a lot of the times what they'll do is you're just trying to remove the noise. So you see all these little reds and blues that are in the picture here. If I took 10 pictures all with that same exposure, then and then run it through Photoshop, it's going to line up everything, and then it's going to go, okay, I don't see this blue pixel in one, I see this blue pixel in one picture, but I don't see it in 9 pictures. So I'm going to throw that blue pixel out and make it whatever is the color that I'm mostly seeing. And so when astronomers are taking like a whole bunch of data, they're really looking to remove the noise from their image. They're taking as long as an image as they can to minimize the star trailing, and then they're looking to remove the noise.
Well said, Fraser. It's the signal to noise ratio is what you want to improve, and the signal is the deep sky object you're imaging, the stars, and the noise is obviously all the artifacts and the stuff you don't want. When you stack images together, you're layering the noise on top of each other, and it almost cancels it out, where the signal remains the same. So you're improving the signal to noise ratio.
Yeah. I'm going to try something I've never done, which is the Garnet Star, and then I'm going to do the Elephant's Trunk Nebula. Have you ever taken a picture of the Garnet Star?
I haven't.
All right. Let's do that first. And then I did this image, which I think is going to be actually kind of interesting. So it's a star cluster, that ghost bush image cluster. It's no Fetus Nebula. All right. And so this is a 65-second exposure. That's just a nice little cluster. I like it, actually. I'm adding that to my list. I like it. So I was like looking at so many star clusters the other night on Twitch, and just like, nope, junk. I don't like it. I don't like it. And so what do I like, right? I like a lot of stars packed together in a fairly close area. I like a few bright stars that sort of set off and provide some differences. So I like this one.
You have high standards for star clusters.
I really do. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like in Cygnus, there must be 100 open star clusters. So what was I doing?
Yeah, I like a nice open star cluster with a mix of colors. So you get the red and blue playing off each other. That's really nice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what's a cluster that you've seen that has a really nice color like that?
Well, the M45, the beehive, but I don't think that's available.
All right, I'm taking a 5-second shot of the Garnet cluster, and then I'm going to go up to the elephant's trunk and go the other way. We're going to do a 5-minute exposure of the elephant trunk.
Actually, I think M45 is Pleiades.
Yeah.
It might be M44.
Okay. I'm going to move the telescope to the elephant trunk and wait for the Cygnus A. Yeah, I want my my star cluster to have that ambiance. There's a certain kind of thing that I'm looking for in my star cluster. The jewel box in the southern hemisphere. We can't do Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri is only visible from the southern hemisphere. Well, you can see it from the equator, I guess. M44 says.
M44. I was waiting for someone to correct me.
Yeah. Is this the telescope? Yes. This is the telescope, right? Right there. The Great Star Cluster in Hercules. We already got it earlier. Here you go. Boom. The Crazed Monkey Nebula. I don't even know if that's a thing.
There's the Monkey Head Nebula.
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah.
All right.
And that one will be up soon. Mars, we're not going to do Mars. We're not using the right telescope for Mars.
Yeah. Don't make us show you Saturn again. And whenever the moon is up, we can go after that. Yeah, Pleiades is not up right now. So, so here's the Garnet Star, and this is a 5-second exposure. So just one. All I want to do is find one nice star. But I like it. It's a nice bright. Could you mess with the colors of this? It's a more orangey color. There we go. Whoa. Huh. That's better. Fabio Grimaldi, point that telescope at a cute girl. This telescope is in the middle of the desert in California, so we can't help you on that one. Sure, we missed all the exciting ones. Can we see a planet? No problem. Here is Saturn, aka Sadturn. There you go. That's the best we can do. Here's what it looks like in the whole field of view of this telescope, by the way. There you go. There's Saturn. The Helical Nebula high enough? NGC 7293. I don't know. For the Helix Nebula, 40. Yes, we can do the Helix Nebula now. Let's do that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. I'm just finishing up
really
my 5-minute exposure of the elephant trunk, and then we'll totally go.
Okay.
Yeah. So enjoy Saturn. Let's go back to the Garnet, which looks great. That's weird. So I did another auto color balance. That got a little better. That's interesting. So I'm learning something about this telescope. Let me try this again. The first color balance isn't great sometimes, and it needs a second one. Okay. We'll go back to M101. UY Scooty. What is...
So I think we saw the Garnet Star in there, which it was, quite orange looking.
Yeah. So
it must be
what's special about UI? I mean, UI Scooty is up, but it's it's like one of the biggest stars, isn't it? That we know of. Feels like that's how I know it. Could we see Andromeda? Here you go. That was our view of Andromeda.
Still very cool.
Yeah. Is it possible to see the Virgo cluster? Only when the constellation Virgo is up. And it's not right
stipulation.
Now. Yeah, that's all we require is Virgo to be up. So here's Virgo.
That's more of an April.
Yeah. So Virgo is down. Let's see. When will Virgo won't be up until... Well, it won't be up all night. So we can't do that. And for people who missed it, we did M51. We can't do the Horsehead Nebula. It's a winter constellation. It's in Orion. In the wintertime.
Right above.
Yeah. Do you have a way to live stack? No. I could use the software to do a live stack, but I'm not doing that. I'm just doing single exposures. I don't even know how to do that. Yeah. Zeta Reticuli. Where's Zeta Reticuli? And I'm trying to think, what's the...
The exposure length on that Andromeda shot, I believe, was 3 minutes.
Yeah. Zeta Reticuli is in the dirt. So we will not be able to show it to you. In fact, it's in the southern hemisphere too, I think. So the telescope will never be able to see it. Comet 21P. Does anyone know where it is now? All right, my man, focus. What did we want to look at after the elephant trunk? I had a plan, but I've forgotten.
I don't remember.
Oh, the
either.
Helix.
The
There we go.
Helix, yes.
That was close. All right, let's go after the Helix Nebula. How's your energy level?
Yeah, well, it is 1:30 a.m.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Well, why don't we'll grab the Helix Nebula, see if we can get. We'll see if it's high enough to go after that comet, and then why don't we wrap?
It would be
things up?
nice to get a comet under a belt for sure.
Yeah. Let me just see what constellation it's in right now.
Someone mentioned the Pac-Man Nebula too, which is it's a nice one, but it's going to be really dim without the right filters.
Yeah.
Similar to the Wizard Nebula.
See if I can. We're slewing the telescope over to the Helix Nebula. I'm gonna probably need to turn off the. I'm gonna have to turn off the camera again because it's fairly low. All right, so let me see. Comet 21P, August 30th is in Auriga. Let me see. No, it's way too low. So it was in Perseus just a couple of nights ago when we saw it, and now it's low. I can show you the picture that I took of it, but that just feels like we're cheating then.
Yeah, there is a Pac-Man Nebula, and it really does look like the Pac-Man shape.
Yeah.
Someone's asking.
All right, so you can see how low the telescope is. So I'm going to turn off the camera, and I'll take a. It doesn't have to be a long exposure either. I'll do a 2-minute for fun.
On the Helix?
Yeah. It doesn't need to be that long. It's a very dense object.
Yeah, the Helix reminds me of just a bigger ring nebula.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's beautiful.
The Hubble version is one of them. Again, it's another one of those iconic images that a lot of people got the poster version hanging in their wall.
Tesla Ranger is saying you have the coordinates for 28P. So what is a star that it's close to? I mean, I can try to go after the actual right ascension and declination, but if you can tell me a star or a constellation that it's in right now, let me see. So Comet 28P. Oh, people are saying the stream is down for them.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bit of a lag myself.
Yeah. I'm not dropping any frames.
Someone said, "Is there a Mrs. Pac-Man too?"
So is it definitely crashed for you, or are you seeing it?
Yeah, it's just frozen on the stream.
Totally frozen?
Totally frozen right now, actually.
Can you try reloading it? See if it's still there.
Yeah, it's still.
No. Yeah, people are saying refresh. Just refresh and it's back.
Okay, good.
All right. So Comet 60. So just refresh the screen. So 28p. So let's see where it is. August 31st. Reset to now. It's in Corvus? Leo? No, it's too low. Yeah. So try just reloading your screen, everybody.
Yeah, I'm seeing people saying it's good now.
Yeah.
Back
Okay.
now. Good.
All right. Well, let's do the Helix. Uh,
More people asking for Mars.
yeah. Yeah, no problem. Mars is easy. Let me see. We're done with the Helix. Let me see where Mars is at.
You know, it's a great
No
great
problem.
time
You got it,
for
Mars.
Mars right now. It's closer to us than it has been in quite a long time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've seen some incredible images, detailed images taken from amateur telescopes.
Yeah. All right. This is going to be the greatest Mars that you've ever seen. It's going to be
Yeah,
as good as the Saturn view. So Trevor, as we wrap this up, people should totally check out your YouTube channel. Tell people what you do.
so I run an astrophotography blog and YouTube channel called AstroBackyard. And my thing is that I do deep sky astrophotography using amateur camera and telescope equipment from my light polluted backyard in the city. I've kind of went along the journey from the early stages with a DSLR camera, working up to some cameras that are more like the one we're using tonight. And yeah, if you kind of follow along with my journey, you'll see how you can get involved yourself and hopefully learn a thing or two.
Teresa's saying you need to turn down your lighting too. Man, you're totally ruining your night vision. So, um, Tyler wants to see the Pillars of Creation again. No problem. But first, can you see the elephant trunk?
Oh, let's see this.
Oh my God, people! Saturn sucked. What do you think Mars will look like? It's gonna suck.
Oh, I see the elephant trunk.
Yeah.
I definitely see it. Oh, wow. Look at that.
It's not
Very cool.
great. It's again, this is sort of not what it's best for. And doing a 5 minute exposure is, not long enough. I would have to do about a 20-minute one. So, thanks for the sub.
Very,
I'm
very
almost
cool
at
object.
200,000. So
You really are. You are right there.
you're gonna be the
196.
one that kicks me over the 200,000 mark. All right. So I'm gonna show off this image. I'll see if I can grab that shot of Mars, and then I'll do a quick recap, and then we'll wrap things up. But I'm gonna put a link to Trevor. I'm gonna put you like a card so people can find out more about you, and I think this is the beginning of a great friendship. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun taking, you know, doing some of these images and showing people the night sky.
Oh,
So
me
stay
too.
tuned.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So there's the Helix. And let me take my hundredth of a second image of Mars. Let's go with a hundredth of a second. We'll see if that works.
Okay, Helix is kicking in here. I'm really excited about this one.
Did it work for you?
It's just about there. And oh, yeah, look at that. Very cool. What a mix of colors going on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's a great object.
And you can actually start to see some of the real outer shell of it too, just barely. Because if anyone's seen the Hubble version of this, it's actually like, you know, quadruples in size the rippling outer nebulosity around this.
Yeah. And so this is another example of a of a dying star that blew off all its outer layers, but it's a lot bigger than the Ring Nebula. So it's a great object. All right, let me see. Those of you who wanted Mars, we're just going to end this on a high note.
We're just going to knock your socks off with Mars just to finish it off.
Yeah.
The big finish.
There it is.
Can you hear the excitement in his
know.
voice? There it is, everybody.
Yeah. There you go. It's a little... I think I can go a longer exposure. Let me see if I can do a 5,000th of a second. We'll see if that does the trick.
That is a quick shot.
Yeah. 5/1000ths of a second. Yeah. All right. So get rid of Mars. That Mars. We'll try another Mars. Cool. And you just, like, your latest video, you just got a chance to unbox a really cool telescope, right?
I did. Yeah, I don't normally do those unboxing videos, but I figured I was excited to open it up. I might as well press record on the camera. Yeah, and that was an apochromatic refractor, like the one we're using tonight, just a smaller one.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I see Mars.
Let me see. Oh, do you see Mars in the Dropbox? Yeah. Okay, hold on. Right. So we'll see if this is a better Mars. I don't know. It's pointless. It's no point. But people want to see it, so there you go. It was funny. We were when we were live streaming the. No, it's not going to be any better. Let me try doing a. There you go. That's Mars. All right, let's do a recap. So for everybody who joined us, so wants to see the Tesla Roadster. We'll start at the top again. So this was Albireo. This is a visual binary star that you can see in the night sky. I really like it. It's usually the first object that I point the telescope at when I'm trying to sort of check my focus. Then after that, we went after the Lagoon Nebula, which is a really great star-forming region in Sagittarius. Then we went after the Trifid Nebula, which is great. You've got the this great red nebulosity and this blue nebulosity side by side, and this picture actually happens to have another couple of satellites busting through as well, which is pretty funny. Then you've got the M13, the Great Globular Cluster in Hercules, probably one of my favorite objects in the night sky. And then we did the Dumbbell Nebula, which is this great dying star. After that, we did the Eastern Veil Nebula, which is the remnant of a supernova that exploded thousands of years ago. And then we did the Crescent Nebula, and it was not great, so we're just not even going to talk about it. Then we did the Ring Nebula, which is sort of it's a tiny little planetary nebula. It's great. Then we did the Eagle Nebula, and you can see the Pillars of Creation. David Sims, yeah, I know. I'm not sure why I didn't get the blue in that one. I may just have my color. It was fairly early on in the night, so it probably just wasn't. And I did it's a 2-second exposure. So that's the Eagle Nebula with the Pillars of Creation. Then we got the Swan Nebula, also known as the Omega Nebula, and this was surprisingly good. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And then we got the Iris Nebula, which is another one of those blue nebulas. So again, it's a reflection, it's not illuminating itself directly. M71, which is a star cluster. And then someone asked us to do this little planetary nebula, which we did, but we also got a little galaxy up there, which I think is pretty cool, and a satellite passing through. Saturn.
Can't forget that.
Can't forget Saturn. Gotta love it. There it is. So just every time you ask us to show you Saturn, this is what you get. M31 Andromeda. What a monster. This was the Wizard Nebula, which didn't work out very well. So, know not to use that as a target. The Bubble Nebula, which actually did work out okay.
Surprisingly nice.
Yeah. The North American Nebula, this is the whole field of view on the camera. The Pelican Nebula, which is just a great object. The M51, which is the Whirlpool Nebula.
Galaxy.
Yeah, so the Whirlpool Galaxy. M101, which is the Pinwheel Galaxy. And then the Fireworks Galaxy. Another shot at the Fireworks Galaxy. I can just remove that. That's the short exposure. We had to do some science.
That was a great suggestion. That turned out well, the firework.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. And then another star cluster. A star. I forget which star that was. The Elephant Trunk Nebula. The Helix Nebula. And then, of course, to just cap it all off, Mars. So... these are all my pictures, David. I just took them all tonight. Everyone watched us take these pictures live. They were here for it. All right. We're going to wrap things up. Man, Trevor, thank you so much. I know it's super late for you there. I can't leave it on Mars. I got to go back to like the Pelican or something. Let's just leave
Put the
it
Eagle
on,
back on there.
We'll leave it on the Whirlpool. But it was great to have a co-pilot, someone to help sort of find some objects with me, to tell me where to go. And I highly recommend people go and check out his channel. He's got a lot of great tutorials on how to work your telescope, how to stack images, how to work Photoshop. That's where my skills completely fall apart. So maybe we can do some more collaborations in the future where you teach me how to make my pictures look less bad.
I'd love to help you out with that. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome.
It's funny when you look back to all the shots we took tonight. Like, that's pretty impressive to bang off all these images like that. It's pretty remarkable.
Yep.
And I see in the comments people are like, "This is just amazing."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, and again, a huge thank you to Dustin Gibson and the rest of the people at Oceanside Photo and Telescope for letting us use this telescope, which is turned off right now. Let me bring the telescope back. That's not fair to keep this telescope out of the picture. It's an absolutely wonderful observatory. They've just been a really great group of people to work with, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to work with Dustin and the crew at OPT. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone. When are we gonna do this again? I don't know, but the plan is to do this at least a couple of times a month when we don't have the nasty moon, and as we move through the seasons, there'll be different objects that are gonna show up. So, all right.